I'll just wait. Notification to pop up.
Meanwhile, we're live.
We're live! We're doing it live! I'm gonna...
For the people...
This time around, I'm gonna tweet out the stream this time. I just have to do all the setup for that now. In the meantime, hello everyone.
Hello, it's been a while. Short
Been a while. I mean, it's not as long as like what, half a year, but this is not that bad.
Nah. No, we really should stream somewhat more regularly because it's always a pain to set up all the audio.
Yeah, and if we do it more regularly, it might be a little bit less of a hassle.
Yeah, but Nretsew, tell us what we have today.
Well, you're the one who found this guy, not me. This isn't my responsibility. But it's so we were talking in the chat. We have like a whole bunch of videos that we might talk about today, depending on how quickly we get through this one, because this one's a short one. I think it's only 5 minutes, so it's probably only going to take us about an hour.
As it is.
As it usually does. But yeah, you found this guy who seems to be a very eclectic fellow.
Yeah, you know, he does some reviews, some commentary on anime culture, some debates on genetic determinism. And
okay, interesting. It's like I said, a very interesting fellow. So yeah, so the one that caught my eye was this one, which was modern anime is just softcore porn, which actually neatly ties into something else I wanted to talk about, which we could probably do maybe at the end. You'll have to bring up a certain tweet that I posted in the chat. But yeah, so yeah, this is yeah. I haven't pre-watched this. I only like opened it up just to see what the time was on it. So I'm somewhat interested to see what this guy's point is, because if everything is just softcore porn, I mean, nobody told me.
Yeah, I mean, Nretsew, you always complain that ecchi is that.
I'm the fucking Kuma Supreme here, and I have not been seeing an uptick.
Alright, so I'm back again with another video talking about modern...
The amount of stuff. We also have, I believe Joshua Taylor has shown up in the chat, so we're doing all right. We're doing all right. It was kind of chilling.
Yeah, I passed. It's my fault we're streaming right now.
Yeah. I could be doing nothing like I'm usually doing.
Instead of you doing something.
I'm doing something. I'm being a productive person. It's horrifying.
Debatable, but
horrifying.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, very, very debatable. So anyway, I guess we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Let's see what this guy has to say about why modern anime is softcore porn. I'm very interested.
Alright, so I'm back again with another video talking about modern anime and more issues with it. So in my last video, for those of you that watched, I know it was a lot longer of a video, so I don't blame anyone for not watching it. I went into the fact...
I have no fucking idea what his last video is.
No.
He's probably going to explain it now, but...
I just want to, it sounds very much, you know, edited down without any...
This must be like an addendum to his last video or something. Well, let's see what he has to say.
That modern anime nowadays is really just pornography. What I mean by that, if you go and watch that video that I uploaded prior to this, you'll see that the majority of the anime that's currently airing...
What was this video? Hang on, I gotta know now. I gotta know what.
Well, this is the realist hero. Guy gets isekai'd to be a bureaucrat, a regent.
Let me just in another tab just go to his channel. Oh, this video was from like a...
Yeah, it's a year old, but you know.
Let me see if I can find what is by his last video. why you don't give modern anime a try? It's not that bad. 32 minutes. Okay. I don't think we're gonna get to that, but I don't think we're gonna watch that. But we'll let's just see what if he gets into, like, because I get the feeling this is like an addendum slash he's extrapolating a point that he made in his like other video, which is probably not the best thing to cover on its own. Like, I feel like if he felt so strongly about this that he had to make a separate video about it, he probably should have just gone all out and made a proper separate video about it, if you know what I mean. Like, rather, I mean, I get. I guess I should probably just we should probably just fucking blitz through it. So
at least for this winter season, but I did go back and look at some of the other seasons. It all pretty much confirmed that it was the same stuff. It's all pretty much romance light novel adaptations with sort of a sexual twist on it. These are all sort of the same.
He shows a bunch of promo art and manga images.
what is this? What is this?
I don't know what show this is.
Me neither. Was this a show that aired at the time?
No idea.
Fucking know. Who fucking know? What again? What? When did this? What was this? This was January the 23rd, 2022. That would have been. Well, that would have been what, winter? I think. I don't know. I don't care enough to go and have a look, but it would be interesting to maybe see what the anime chart had for like January 2022. What was airing at the time, to see what he's
things. The characters look extremely alike, and so yeah, pretty much shitty light novel adaptations slash isekai ecchi harem and stuff like that. So let me go into the problems with this and why people that consume this stuff are part of the problem, and why
this is Reddit's meetup thing. Why is it relevant even?
Because he's trying to say that people that enjoy that kind of stuff are Redditors. That's kind of what he's trying to say. At least that's what I would assume. Look, you got to listen. Ellie, I know it's hard, but you got to think about this from the perspective of a writer. Okay?
Yeah, I guess
you're gonna have to try very hard to think, put yourself in the shoes of academic agent. Okay?
All right.
You do it. You got to read some Ebola.
Right. I actually read some, and it was really dumb.
Right. Okay, let's keep going.
Here. So first of all, people making it don't care. This stuff, these trashy light novel adaptations, they take no effort to make. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, they don't have to draw or whatever, but it's not cell animation anymore, which I've talked about. This is all stuff done on a computer.
What an incoherent argument. Hey, pause real quick.
So,
because he says these light novels don't take effort to make. They can draw and stuff, and then he's immediately goes into the anime. All right.
I mean, okay, so I can understand the okay. I'm trying to be. We're trying to be good faith. Right? We're trying to be good faith, right? It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard. We're gonna try, right? So, to give some credence, even though it's not a lot, and I am not agreeing with him right now, right? I'm just playing devil's advocate, right? I could see the argument of, well, you know, anyone can pick up a pen, right? And anyone can start writing a story. You know, it doesn't take much effort to, you know, just write. Yeah. I guess, right? Which I assume is the angle that he's coming from there, where he's like, well, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of effort for you to pick up a pen and start writing a story. I mean, I guess they still have to draw. Although, then again, I think a lot of authors can also just commission an artist to do stuff for them as well. So it's kind of, so whatever, doesn't matter. And then he goes into a completely different fucking argument, which is cell shading and how anime is created digitally, which is a very weird argument to make because, yeah, it's created digitally, but that's just because technology has advanced. Like, what does he think that digital art is not real art?
I mean,
like,
it
like,
would be
what the
more of an
fuck are you
argument if it was AI or something.
Maybe, yeah, but this is pre-AI. This is like
Yeah.
2022, so. But yeah, I find it it's a very weird argument because digital art is very much just like traditional art but digital. It is like a really weird kind of, I don't want to say it's a rightoid view, but it is a very anti like this
There,
idea that because it's not cell shaded it's worse or
it's a
whatever because
purity
it's not.
argument, and
It's
rightward
kind of is, yeah.
arguments. Rightward arguments are often purity.
Now,
Oh,
because I can understand like preferring the aesthetic, right?
yeah,
Because there's definitely an aesthetic difference between anime from the fucking 80s and now, right? Like, obviously, right? So I can understand. Oh, there's an aesthetic difference between digital art and traditionally done art, right? Which is pretty clear. But that's not really that doesn't feel like the argument he's making. The argument it feels like he's making is digital bad, traditional good, which is
yeah.
it's very weird. That's very weird. Let's continue. Let's see where.
They know the trends. They know that the Coomers are gonna buy this stuff anyway. So rather than actually attempt to make a good story, they'd rather push out a harem ecchi isekai fantasy thing and hope that, I don't know, maybe one of the six characters, you know, the waifus.
Oh, it's Wilds. Yeah, I think yeah, our boy Joshua in the chat was it's Wilds in Harem, so it's Wilds in here.
Hey, Derby, why is it the most appropriate time? Or, I mean, Nretsew would know. He's into the Twitter dramas.
Well, we're gonna maybe we'll get to, like I said, we're gonna possibly talk about that in a minute if we can get through this video really, really quickly, because we kind of this is meant to be a short little video, then we were gonna just kind of shoot the shit. And we're going to shoot the shit and maybe cover like a couple of other shorter videos because we found some short videos for once. So now he's just kind of going on. The interesting thing about this is like I hear this argument a lot about, oh well, they're appealing to the Kumas or whatever, right? It's just, have they ever stopped to consider that perhaps maybe just maybe, right? That there is an audience for this. There's people that like this unironically, right? And they're willing to pay for it.
It's very in isolation, I feel, because it very much ignores the entire process before it becomes an anime. The whole production chain, the whole trend. Of course, it's again Shosetsu ni Naro, Shosetsuka ni Naro,
or similar such.
Yeah.
Sites,
or you know, writing
or
contests,
self publishing type stuff, you know, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, so on and so on, and then complain about the end product instead of, you know, saying, "Oh, it comes from this place and it was 5 years ago."
It's only made to appeal to the Kuma, you know.
Yeah, that's very. I don't know. I don't how you call it.
Yeah.
It's very short. At least it's short-sighted, you know.
Yeah. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Our new friend here has said, I spent the whole day looking through the French anime manga market. Probably the grassroots of painting a negative image on the entire medium. It's artists, the craft, etc. Interesting stuff. Yes, we've also got 650 has joined us again. Good.
Yeah, as always.
And have you guys read Kumi or 008? Oh, Kumi wa 008. No. Sadly. So anyway, let's keep going.
Will catch the attention of some, as virgin somewhere, and that's how they'll get their money. So people, there's no longer a competition anymore. That's another problem. If you go back to the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, there was, I think it was sort of a competition from the East standpoint. I think they were looking at some of the American-made shows that were coming out at this time, like Terminator, Star Trek, Babylon 5, like a lot of these sci-fi shows with great high-level special effects, because you have to remember, America was at the top of the world at this time in terms of TV shows, movies, and stuff, because of Hollywood and everything. I'm not going to go into this too much, but this
Nretsew,
sort of made other countries.
Did you know? Did you? Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know.
What?
It's kind of down. The West has fallen. Kind of feels like it.
Man, I wish we had Fool. Fool would love this. This would be great.
Did you know that Power from Chainsaw Man is inspired by Cartman from South Park?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
So the cultural imperialism of America on Japan is alive and well.
Alive and well, yeah. This is a really weird argument, because it's an interesting one though, because the idea of honestly, this reminds me a little bit of what we covered last time with the whole, cool Japan conspiracy stuff, right?
Mhm.
It's like that, but it's a completely different conspiracy. Now it's all of the artists are competing against the West because Star Trek.
Star Trek is dead.
That's why 80s anime was better, because they're trying to one up those stinking Americans, right? And their space wars and their trekking stars, and it's very weird. It's very weird. I don't think I've ever heard this argument. It's quite interesting.
No, I mean, even if you would say from Japan watches I don't know, Star Trek and makes Gundam or whatever, if that follows, if that even follows. Then you have you have Harry Potter, and from Harry Potter you have Zero no Tsukaima, and Zero no Tsukaima begins then the whole isekai thing, the modern isekai thing. D&D, thousands in the MMO. The MMO does Overlord stuff, and VR MMOs come from there.
So, I mean, yeah, yeah. So I don't really think it's like a competing thing. I don't really feel like this is like, oh, we gotta one up those dirty Yanks. We gotta one up. It's like I mentioned in the last stream, right? I hate it when people take the agency away from artists like this, where it's the artist isn't in control of their own actions. It's all just part of some like grand power play, right? Of Japan versus America or something. Or
no, it's not really power play. I would, of course, more argue from they are subject to the whims of the time that they live in. Japan has Fukushima, the Fukushima disaster. What do? They make Dimension W, that anime show, as a cultural response to a big event. But that's kind of the limit.
But that's like not necessarily what I'm talking about. Right?
No,
like I'm talking about like the idea that, because it's different when it's like, okay, let's say in that example, right, you had the government comes in and is like, we want to make an anime that is in a response to this cultural event that's happened, right? That's one thing, right? What I'm talking about is like, oh, the author of Sword Art Online created Sword Art Online specifically because he wanted to extend Japanese imperialism and make you forget about Nanking. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Yoko Taro makes Nier because he saw the Twin Towers.
Yeah, he wants to he wants to piss on the Americans or something, right? Like that's what I'm talking about. Because I hate because that removes the agency from the artist, right? It makes it seem like the artist isn't in control of their actions when it's like, no, maybe the artist just wanted to make a fucking story with some titties in it, you know? Like, sometimes it doesn't have to be complicated, you know?
I did learn that Cool Japan made one anime. I don't know if I mentioned it last stream.
You mean, I think they made isn't there like a handful? I think there's like a handful.
No, it's one anime that they definitely, commissioned.
Definitely had influence and
produced. That's Rina no Lagan. It's a kind of a alien invades and anime girls in robots.
Typical stuff, yeah.
It's very, in that sense, it's very standard. You wouldn't know that it's somehow, government funded.
Right.
And of course, something like Mushoku Tensei has 1,000 times more influence. Slime has 1,000 times more influence than...
Some random dude who wrote a light novel like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? That eventually became an anime in 2020, like 2020-ish, I don't know. I can't remember when the first season of Mushoku came out. I think it was 2021 or 2022?
I believe it was sometime in COVID time.
It was sometime around there. But yeah, no, it's yeah. So to cap off this point, so we can move on. This is a very weird argument, but it's very similar to the same. It's the same kind of feeling to me, right? Where it's like the agency of the artist doesn't matter. The artist isn't creating what they want to create because they want to create what they want to create. They're creating it because it's part of some grand, bigger picture that apparently we just can't see it, Ellie. We just can't see the big picture.
No, we can't see the conspiracies.
Yeah, we can't see it. But anyway, let's continue.
Specifically Japan, that did not have the technology to create these things in terms of the special effects, CGI, whatever, at least as good as the Americans did. So they their way of competing with it was with their animation, and that's when we got these masterpiece level shows, stuff like Zeta Gundam, stuff like Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Oh damn, I was
sci-fi
joking.
Inspired, deep storylines, good plots. It was sort of like their way of saying,
can you pause real quick, because I was totally joking that Star Trek made Gundam.
Yeah, I would have to look into like the what inspired. What's his name? What's the Gundam guy's name?
Toriyama? No,
I think it's something like I think it's something like that. But because here's the thing, right? The guy's done like 1 million fucking interviews.
Yeah,
right.
And by this point,
you could just go and find out. Oh, I was inspired by Star Trek, and I wanted to make something that's like
Domino
guy in the chats. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, like you could just go find like an interview. Just type in like Tomino interviews about inspiration or something, and then you'll probably be able to find some quotes where he's talking about what inspired him. Like maybe he did like watch Star Trek or Star Wars and was like, wow, I wanna do that, which would track. I don't know if it's true, but it would track, But I don't think it's like with this underlying feeling of malice of like, man, I gotta one up these Americans.
I don't know. I might, if he's American, I can also feel kind of a like I said before, a kind of the West has fallen. We were at the top of the world, and they had to compete with us.
The West has fallen. Billions must die. The West has fallen. But yeah, no, that's because we're almost there. We're already halfway through. We're getting getting through this nice and fast.
But
Damn.
we can do it, in this animated form. We can still compete, and this cartoons aren't just for kids. Look at this, a complex story, unique characters. So another reason why these modern anime companies, studios are pushing this over-sexualized content is because for those of you that know about porn and sexual content and the effect it has on the brain,
pause real
it's
quick.
sort of...
Oh, here we fucking go.
Nretsew, do you know about porn?
I do know about porn. Very familiar.
All right.
I'm very,
Just making sure, because
you could say that I am very attuned with pornographic materials. Yes, very
all right.
accustomed. So I have to go. I have to go deeper into the research about this specifically. But from what I know, yes, porn can be addictive. That is true, right? That is a thing that can happen, right? However, a lot of the supposed effects that these guys like to talk about are very much overblown. I think one of the major claims that I see a lot from, when I say these types, I'm talking about, like, I'm going to assume this guy is going to rattle off about, oh, well, actually, no, let's just let him go. Let's let him go. And then, because I don't want a quick shot, right? I don't want to blow him a load too early. Let's just see what he has to say first.
Similar to drugs in a way, where once you start watching this stuff and you start getting into pornography and you start destroying your brain with this stuff, it becomes addicting, like drugs. The reason that there's always drug dealers is because once you get someone hooked on like heroin or something, you have customers for life. You don't have...
This is a very funny graph. This is because
it's a dopamine addiction thing.
Okay, okay, this is what I was waiting for, because I knew he was gonna fucking get into this, right? Okay, there's been a bit of, like, I saw some tweets from, there's a chick who's like an actual doctor in this stuff that tweets about it often, and is often trying to counter a lot of this this kind of like weird pseudoscience shit around porn. I'd have to remember what her name is. I think I've linked her to a few people. It's very interesting stuff. But there's been a shift in how they kind of classify it, because it is not the same as substance addiction, which is what I was about to say, right? It's more like gambling, right? It's more on the same level as a gambling addiction, right? Now, the thing with these addictions is it's not the same for everyone, right? Because certain people have, because you have the idea of addictive personalities, but I don't think it's necessarily personalities. It's like there's something else like going on biologically. It's not like it's complicated, right? And that's the problem with this simplification that these guys like to do, where they go. Because what these guys do, right, is they'll go, okay, porn addiction is real, right? Sex addiction is real. Dopamine addiction is real. You look at hot anime girl, right? So I'm seeing Joshua talk in the chat. No, I haven't seen the She-Ra reboot. I don't remember her name. I might go have a look for it after, because I'll go and have a look at my Discord logs, because I think I was linked some stuff from here at some point. But basically the gist is what the logic train here is, all of this dopamine addiction is real, right? So therefore, you look at hot anime woman in bikini once, you're a porn addict, right?
Because the
like
dopamine of looking.
Yeah, you had dopamine fire in your brain once, you're a porn addict, right? That's where these people go with this, and it's very, very stupid, because that's not how that fucking works, right? And two, in order for it to like actually be classed as an addiction, right? In order for you to actually be addicted to something, it has to impact your daily life, right? It has to be serious enough that it actually stops you from doing shit. Like, you're not going to go to work because you're going to jack off because you need the dopamine, right? You're not gonna go, you know, you're not gonna be able to function properly, right? Like you are compelled to do the action, right? You can't like it's like it would be like if in the middle of this stream I just whip out my dick and just start fucking banging it, right? Because I have to, Ellie. My brain is forcing me to get the dopamine. I have to do
Dopamine,
it.
you
Right?
live. You can't do anything without dopamine.
I can't do anything without my sweet dopamine, right? So that's where this like what happens is these people look at stuff that it is science, right? It is actual science that definitely there are effects of pornography and about a million other things. And that's why I find this graph interesting, because you have like baseline food 150%, video games 175, sex 200, cocaine 450. Right?
Nretsew, we can. I see something in the text, and we can kind of skip this entire thing if we just read it. The last sentence.
Exactly.
It is not reasonable to equate the brain response to drug use with that of video games.
Yeah.
So,
Which is, because video game addiction was another one that cropped up, because I think it was added to the DSM-5, wasn't it, at some point?
Yeah, but there's a kind of caveat to that more of a video game addiction is more of a behavioral addiction than a substance addiction.
Yes, which is what I'm getting into, right? Because there's a difference between behavioral and substance, right?
Yeah.
Like gambling is a behavioral addiction, right? And which is why what's happening now is there's been this move to, like, there's been a move to kind of stop treating sex and porn addiction type stuff
or games
as
or etc.
Yeah, well, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Exercise addictions, also a thing.
Exercise addictions, yeah. So yeah, this is just a common thing. Now, again, I have to dig a bit more into the science of it, because I would like to be a bit more. Have you got a source for that? Have you got a source?
Well, the source is the National Institute on Drug Abuse, that apparently doesn't care if you play video games, according to this bit of text.
I think this chick's name is Dr. Nicole Pierce. I'll go see if I can get the Twitter out.
So it's the doctor's name.
Yeah, because I just found it in my I found her in my logs when I was talking to someone else about this, so I'm just gonna go see if I can find her. It's Nicole.
Yeah, but so anyway, food addiction isn't. I mean, addiction is a very strong word, and we can't equate addictions to drugs to addictions of video games or even sex in that.
Oh, interesting. I'm checking her Twitter. She's actually got what looks like some actual stuff coming out. Coming soon, I created the science of masturbation for international online sexology surveyors, starting with animal history, base rates of masturbatory human acts, modern anti-masturbation manosphere groups, and speculated health benefits. Yeah, so her whole thing is like debunking a lot of the whole, because about like the manosphere type content.
Yeah, your vital essence or something.
Yeah, your vital essence, and your Andrew Tate and your kind of it's a very similar vein to the stuff that we've talked about before. So I will post that link in the chat. I think because I'm a mod, it should let me actually.
Yeah.
It should actually show up, because we've had links not show up in the chat before, so hopefully that shows up. We'll see. So that's her Twitter, and you can go on there and you can see some of the interesting some of the interesting stuff that the science that's been going on around it. So there's some interesting science going on, basically, on the topic, and it's a lot more complicated than just dopamine receptors are fried, right? Because your dopamine receptors are going to get fried by like fucking 50 billion different fucking things, because dopamine gets fucking sent by all kinds of bullshit. So
yeah, I wouldn't worry
Yeah. Like, look, if you're just browsing on Twitter and you're retweeting and looking at lewds, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not destroying your brain, right? You're not addicted. Well, you might be addicted to Twitter, but you're not.
Well, that's social media
That's like
attention.
that's like a completely different thing, right? But what I'm meaning is like you're not actually doing anything like super self-destructive. It's no more self-destructive than spending like 4 hours playing Minecraft, right? Like you're not doing anything super bad, right? But these people will act like you're literally destroying yourself by looking at the hot anime woman, right? But anyway, let's get back to the.
Keep trying to sell a product or something. You don't have to explain to a heroin addict why heroin's good. They're going to consume it without asking any questions. Porn is very similar to this. If you look at dopamine charts online, you can see that porn is like the second highest after like drugs or something. Or
I love how, again, like if he actually read the fucking thing, right? It's not. How much dopamine does an activity release? Like if you read the whole thing, it's like various activities cause the brain to release more dopamine than usual. Enjoying food brings a 50% boost to dopamine levels in the brain, for instance. Video games and sex also increase dopamine, and drug use does so significantly. It is not reasonable to equate the brain response to drug use with that of video games. And and the difference between video games and sex is not that much, according to this. It's like 175 to 200. So it's like, come on now. Like if you're gonna like try and make this point, right? At least fucking read the shit that you're citing. That was one of the things. One of the things that we were talking about before the show, like earlier, like yesterday, was So Sitch and Adam covered this on their show, but it was Noah Sampson versus what the fuck is his name? It's go back on the chat and go find it. It was I think it's like Think Before You Sleep. So it's Think Before You Sleep and Noah Sampson. They had like a multi-video back and forth thing, right? Where they were arguing with each other over. Have you seen that? There was like a Dove ad that came out a while ago where it was like the chick, and she had the armor on, and she goes into the dressing room, and then she takes the armor off, and she's like, a bit thick, right? And then
this sounds like a very regional thing. Also, we live in
Well,
opposite.
it was on the Twitters a while ago, right? You probably didn't see it, but it was basically okay. The TLDR is Dove had this body positivity campaign, right? And Think Before You Sleep is a bit of a anti-SJW type, right? So he makes a video where he's like shitting on this ad and how body positivity is bad because it promotes unhealthy lifestyle, typical stuff, right? Typical stuff, which I don't necessarily disagree with, right? To be fair, but typical stuff. Noah Sampson makes a response to that video where he because one of the key. This is going somewhere, right? Just bear with me, okay? It's related to this. It's related to this, right? So Noah tries to cite some study, right? Because one of the claims in Think Before You Sleep's video is that he could not find the source for the studies that Dove was citing in their commercial about women representation in video games and women not feeling represented, right? That stuff, right? Because they showed some statistics on the screen, but they did not provide a source, right? So Noah comes in and he finds a study, right, that supposedly proves that the study in the Dove ad was legit, right? However, it turns out not only does the study that he cite not actually make the point that he was trying to make, but it's also not the Dove study that Dove used. The study that Dove used was an internal study that no one can find publicly. No one's, but like between Sitch and Adam and Think Before You Sleep and a bunch of other people, no one's been able to track down where this study is, right?
That sounds very a corporate thing to do, to have internal studies.
Yeah, something like that. So, but this other study from the UK, right, that Noah uses, is making a completely different point, right? Than the start. It was making a completely different point and a different claim. But Noah obviously didn't actually read the study because he just kind of makes this claim. Oh no, this proves I'm right, Ellie, because I have the study. You know, he doesn't realize that the study's actually not making the point that he thinks it is. And then when these guys dug a little deeper into it, they found out that this study was conducted by a media organization that sole purpose is to create studies to be used in advertising. So they survey like a group of people, right? And they just like, oh, here's like this survey from like 1,000 people. They say this, right? And their whole purpose is to make those kinds of studies for like advertising purposes. So advertisements can go 1 in 10 dentists say, that kind of shit, right?
All right.
So it was very funny. It was very funny. If you want to watch that, you can go on Such an Atom and find the stream. It's like Noah Samson versus Think Before You Sleep. But there's a bunch of clips of it on their channel. Like they clip out like the 8-hour stream, so you could like just watch the highlight reel, right? It's very interesting. It was very interesting. It was very funny. It was a funny stream. But that this ties back into this because this guy's making the exact same mistake, right? He's not reading the thing that he has on screen that supposedly proves his point, but actually contradicts his point. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the doctor that he gets the study from disagrees with him. So on and so on. Yeah.
Also, based Joshua in the chat. A bondage and gag man. I'm a partaker in the in the bondage and the gags too. So very based, very based. So anyway, let's continue. Oh wait, I hit the wrong button.
I think it's sex, porn, or it's porn, sex, and then drugs like opioids and stuff. I'm not saying that everyone consuming this stuff is a like porn addict or something, but I think a lot of them are, and I think these studios know that when they're creating
cocaine,
this stuff.
yeah,
no matter how
relevant.
bad it is, no matter what nonsense and garbage stories or from a plot standpoint they're putting out, they know that they have those customers for life. Those otaku introverted people. That
oh wait, can you pause 1 second because
He used otaku as a fucking pejorative?
No, more that he switched over from look, these stories are the addiction. Like, your isekai stories, those cause the addiction. They are porn. And I mean, I guess that's the title. And modern anime is just softcore porn. So therefore, the isekai stories and modern anime is softcore porn and addictive and bad. It's kind of big leaps going on. But
very big leaps, yeah. Very big leaps. But anyway, we're almost there, actually. We're almost done.
And if you don't know what Coomer means, I keep using that term a lot. It's basically
gonna explain what
for
Coomer
someone
means.
who's like addicted to porn. So the stereotypical fat user guy.
There he is!
And just watches porn all day. So ending this video here, why is this bad? A lot of people that are getting into anime today are going into anime with the expectation that it is all just porn. And like I talked about earlier, this creates a demand for more of these trashy light novel adaptations, more of the isekai harems, more of this nonsense.
I hope you're ready to bring that tweet up because I'm gonna have a fucking rant about that in a minute once we're done with this video.
Which tweet?
It ties into this so well. It really does tie into this so fucking well.
Give me tweets.
Right?
I have the power to transition between things.
Yeah, don't do it right now. Do it when he's done.
Yeah,
because
sure.
we're almost done. I'll go grab I put it in the chat, but it was probably like a day ago. So I have to go. Oh yeah, here we go. I've got it. Just text, paste that, get rid of that. There you go. There's the tweet. So you can get set up for that while I'm gonna kind of talk about it, but not really because I don't want to blow my load because I want to rant about it later. But I don't know where he's getting this idea that because okay, maybe it's just because Twitter, right? But if you go on Twitter, the vast majority of people are anti the sex. They're fucking prudes. People have gotten more prudish, right? Like, I don't see a lot of people that are going after the Kuma stuff that he's talking about. Like, the Kuma stuff is niche and it's not popular, at least in terms of like mainstream appeal. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
So if we're going to have a little discussion then, because this video isn't that all that interesting, unfortunately. I think that in a sort of let's say that having really intimate relationship is more acceptable in anime in modern times.
Right.
Low hanging ecchi, that's let's say that is less acceptable, but the higher levels are more acceptable. The higher intensity.
I see what are you talking about the just go watch porn argument?
No, I mean more that you can have sex in Redo of a Healer, interspecies reviewers, Mushoku Tensei.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. So you're saying that you don't get stuff like High School DxD, you get just flat out sex.
Yes, more serious sex.
That's an interesting point. I can see that. I can see that. That's an interesting. Because it is true that, like, I would argue that there's not a lot of shows that are coming out that are traditional flat ecchi. I think ecchi content does still exist. You often see it in a lot of isekais these days, depending on what show it is. But it's definitely like fan service in general is a lot rarer than it used to be. And I agree with you that I think perhaps maybe it's due to this shift in, instead of portraying sex in this kind of comedic or fan servicey type way, it's now become you have no sex at all, or you have Pornhub. Basically,
yeah.
There's no in between, right? We can't just have like burlesque, like titillation type stuff anymore, right? It's either nothing at all, or just go watch porn, bro. Which is why I brought up that argument.
So no, I mean, Nretsew, I know you don't like Frog-kun, but his
no, I don't.
In one of his tweets about a new anime.
I thought Frog-kun was a chick.
I don't know.
I thought they just use they or whatever.
It's kun, so I'm going to.
It's a kun.
So here's a screenshot of an anime where anime girl in a girl room says to a guy, "Aren't we going to have sex?"
Right. Based.
That doesn't really feel like something you would have 5, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
As a serious proposition.
Yeah, interesting. I'm just reading the chat. Don't worry, guys. I have my eye on the chat. I do see what you guys are posting.
I am playing with a lot of windows, so I don't.
Yeah, I have the chat open, so I can read stuff out. So we've got Derby had mentioned about the Dove campaign. The Dove campaign situation reminds me of some 2009 study Lego conducted on toy industry's gendered play philosophy. IIC, boys want to be Batman, girls want to be Batman to the... Oh, yes, that was very interesting. I don't know about the validity of that anymore, but if I recall, basically it was this idea of like, yeah, boys want to be Batman, right? So like self-insert as Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're playing as Batman. Girls want Batman to be them. So instead of you self-inserting as Batman, you become Batman, but you retain yourself. If that makes sense. It's a little bit complicated, so I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds on it. But yeah, that was a very interesting. That was a very interesting study. We've also got a Satire of Life Dio who says, I remember hearing that studies against Kumin are hard to make since most mental. Yeah. Well, a lot of
Well-
those studies get funded by like religious organizations and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a whole rabbit hole we don't really have to go into. We've also got Portal Core coming in with unrelated, but why is there an an atmosphere videos?
Apostrophe. That's because the grammar rules of the Netherlands of Dutch says in the word videos you should have that. Even though
It's
I'm
very
typing.
similar. It's very similar down here too. I think down here I usually put a little thingy in there, as well. It depends though. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then Joshua's come in and has recommended an artist, that might be good. So yeah, be sure to check that out. Yes, Rebake. Yeah, I know Rebake. Rebake's a good artist. That artist does good
I
shit.
don't know, but I don't know Rebake my name, but maybe by
It should tell you-
reputation later.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It should tell you something that I immediately fucking recognize.
But for the chat, since we actually have people in chat, Nretsew, we can ask questions
we
to
do.
the chat.
We can.
Dio 56665. People, do you agree that anime is more explicitly sexual recently in modern times than say 10 years ago?
Versus traditional fan service. So we're comparing like Mushoku Tensei having the selfie or however you pronounce it, stuff versus like High School DxD or High School of the Dead style type stuff is what we. So we'll let the chat kind of, while we finish up the video, we'll let chat kind of have fun.
Rumourate.
Because that's what this generation is going into anime expecting. They want some over-sexualized main character. They want a harem. They want some sort of rai porn or something.
I don't agree with any of this.
That's what anime is to them. Like, if you ask the average anime fan if they've watched like Zeta Gundam or Area 88 or any of this stuff, they don't know what it is, because
of
they've
course
gotten
not.
into
It's
anime
old.
with High School DxD or the time I was reincarnated as a slime, or whatever modern fan service stuff, or any of those other shows that I looked at the other day when I uploaded that last video. That's what these people are going into the anime community expecting. That, and obviously trashy shonen. So there's no demand for good anime, and obviously these studios are going to keep.
I agree that slime isn't good, but that's not the point.
These problems. Modern anime, like I said, it's pretty much just porn, softcore porn. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If you have any other recommendations, let me know.
And that's the end of the video. I didn't agree with any of what he just said. I think it's like, I actually think he's living in a completely different fucking world. It's completely. Oh my god, modern fans of retro anime sound like it's weird. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like, I've seen a few people that have like this kind of the retro stuff is so fucking better, and it's so great. I've seen that before, right? But like, I really don't think that modern fans want the itch. Like, and again, this could be just me clouded by the fact that I'm Twitter addicted. I guess that's my dopamine. I get my dopamine from Twitter, right? Like, I just don't see what this guy's talking about. I don't see a lot of people. Like, I see a lot more antis than I do people like me that enjoy that shit. So it's very weird. Yeah, and I mean, 650 like Zeta Gundam, I think it's like you said, it's more the fact that it's old, and it's probably like, I don't think Zeta is on Netflix. I know the original movies are on Netflix, and Charles Counterattack is on Netflix, but I think it's going to be an accessibility thing, because one of the dark doom appeals is that people don't know how to fucking torrent these days.
That's just
so
people will once strategy, when disaster strikes, people will learn to torrent again. Don't worry.
They will, yeah, it'll happen. Random Portal Core says, I only really watched Mushoku Tensei as of late. I mean, there are sexual themes, but I fail to see the problem here. Yeah, there's not a problem. We're not saying that it's a problem. We're just like saying that there's a difference in how Mushoku Tensei handles sex versus like high school DxD and stuff, and how there's less high school DxD and there's more Mushoku Tensei in terms of how sex is handled, which is an interesting point. So anyway, shall we move into, I guess, not topic number 2, but Nretsew rants about a similar issue, similar issue, since we can now cover the Twitter dramas.
I do want to say that I prefer much. I like Star Trek very much. I liked watching it, but
Yes,
I'm not going to doomer. I'm not going to black pill doomer post that people don't start with the next generation.
Yeah.
Why would they? Why would I want them to start with the next generations in particular? I mean, they can watch. I mean, if they like Gundam Witch from Mercury, great. I like Gundam Witch from Mercury. It's a good sci-fi thing.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway,
yeah,
time for me to shit on Joey for a bit.
He's on screen.
He's on. Yeah, I see him on the screen. So, Joey, the anime man, not friend of the show, but person who we have covered before. I believe I think isn't the only thing we've covered from him that one isekai video. I think that might have been the only thing we've directly covered from him.
You have to be a little bit more specific than the one anime isekai show, because there are a couple.
The one where he okay, yeah, fuck it, I can't be bothered. But anyway, so he put out a tweet, right? So just for context, this is Joey, the anime man, who is a member of the Trash Taste podcast, very popular anime podcast that all the normies love.
All right.
Yes, that Joey. He is a big name in the sphere, right? So here's an interesting factoid. I actually think he stole this tweet, because I remember seeing some people talking about this screen cap of this manga from Manga Dex before he posted about it. So I have a sneaky suspicion that he stole this tweet for clout, basically. But nonetheless, we're going to cover his version of it, because I think it doesn't really matter who posted it. So basically, it is a screen cap of a manga from Manga Dex, which is titled "My Little Sister is the Best Masturbation Material." And the caption from Joey is, "Titles like this remind me why people think anime fans are weird." And I have a few problems with this, right? I think that, okay, there are a few ways you can go about this, right? I don't think that he posted this with malicious intent first, right? That's the first thing. Right? I feel like he's
funny. Japan weird.
Yes, that's what I think he's doing, right? But I hate it. I fucking hate it, because do you want to know what this feels like to me? Because I tweeted about this, and I replied to, I think his name used to be Tactifield, but he's not Tactifield anymore. But my what I liken this to is Ellie. I'm gonna go onto X videos, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on X videos, and I'm gonna go find big booby gangbang 69 BBC triple XL director's cut 2-hour edition, right?
Of course.
And then I'm gonna go on Twitter, right? And I'm gonna screen cap the title, right? And I'm gonna go, man, titles like this, they remind me why people think watching movies is weird. Right?
No, I have a better example.
You do you? Okay, what's your example? What do you got?
Do you know a show called The Big Mouth?
I do. I have heard of The Big Mouths. Yes.
Do you know that's about sex and teenagers?
Yes, it is. It is.
And that it has like
sex.
five seasons of sex with and teenagers.
Yeah, it does.
Weird.
It does have 5.
Weird Americans, sex and teenagers.
Yeah.
Why would you want to?
This is why people think what like cartoon fans are weird. That's what this is. That's what this tweet is to me, and it's fucking stupid. Because first off, right, Manga Dex hosts a lot of shit. You can go on Manga Dex and you can find normal, like, Shonen Jump shit, You could find all kinds of manga, right?
You can find
Heaps of
Twitter
manga.
comics on it.
Twitter comics, you know, you can find Korean manga on there, right? There's all kinds of stuff on the manga decks, right? So up to and including hentai and ecchi pornography and all, you know, all that stuff. They have settings on the site that you can pick what you want to see and what you don't want to see. You know, your typical stuff, right? So what I don't, as like I said, I think Joey stole this tweet because I've seen it before, right? But the implication here is someone went onto manga decks, right? Had their settings specifically so that they would see something like this. First off, right? They saw something like this, possibly on like the new manga or whatever tab or something, right? They picked it out and they specifically screen capped it to go to.
Yep. Sorry, Nretsew, Discord restarted for me.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, Discord restarted.
Discord's having a autism. But anyway, yeah. So it's like you specifically went out and found something weird, and now you're gonna make the implication that this is mainstream shit, right? That's what I don't like about this, because I believe I saw some people saying that this work is literally just some pics of artists doujin thing that got published in a hentai magazine. Basically.
Yeah,
right?
I wouldn't worry about that.
It's some niche fetish work that doesn't really have a whole lot. Like, you can even see on like the screen cap, it doesn't have a whole lot of engagement, right? It's not rated very highly. It's like 5.5 or whatever. Although I don't know what the ratings are like on manga decks and whether or not that's low or high or whatever. Oh, we've lost. I noticed on the stream your Fumis have broken.
Oh, they're back now. Don't worry.
Ah, okay. So basically, this idea that it's similar to what the guy was talking about in the video, where he's like, "Oh, all anime fans want is, or quote unquote anime fans, they just want the Kuma shit, right?" This is the stuff he's talking about, but this stuff is like, it's not fucking mainstream. Mushoku Tensei is mainstream, right? Stuff like that is mainstream. This isn't mainstream anime. This is like, again, it's like going to Pornhub, finding a porn movie, and saying, "Oh, this is representative of all movie fans. This is what all movie fans want. They just want the Kuma shit," right? And that's why I don't like this tweet. And even if it is a joke, I don't care if it's a joke or not, right? Because the other side of this is, because Twitter people are fucking insane. And even though I know for a fact Joey would denounce this if it did happen, right? And he would play that whole, "Oh no, don't go harass people." People are, that you're exposing this niche thing to people that are already predisposed to not like it and have been known to go out and fucking harass artists that make stuff that they don't like, report their accounts, you know, do all this kind of shit, right? And you're exposing this to those people, and I think that's kind of irresponsible, to be honest.
I'm doing a slight expose
right
now. If you see the stream,
I'm waiting. It's going to take a minute because I'm a little bit behind on the stream.
Oh, don't worry.
I'm watching it. Yeah, I am watching it, but it's. Oh, there we go. Ah, yes. Yes, Joey the anime man. Yeah. This is what I mean. It's a very weird thing from him, because it's not like he's anti the lewds. He's defended the lollies before, right? And he's done a bunch of stuff. But I think that it's very weird that he doesn't really he makes this joke and doesn't really understand the implications of it, right?
He's happy to perpetuate harmful stereotypes.
Yes, for clout, basically. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, he is yeah, he's perpetuating harmful stereotypes that, oh, this is why people think anime fans are weird or whatever. It's like, I reckon the amount of people that watch anime that would even know that this existed would be so fucking minuscule. Like, even I knew this existed because I'd seen people talking about it on Twitter before in terms of like screen capping the screen cap, right? So I knew it existed, but I've not read it, and I don't know a whole lot about it outside of the fact of, oh, it has a, you know, it's obviously some kind of incest type thing or whatever, right? So yeah, 650 is like, yeah, he flip flops. He does flip flop. It's very weird.
I have a big it was just a joke feeling.
Yeah, it's just a meme. It's just a meme, you know. But you know, I hate it. I hate that excuse because it's you know, I feel like there's gonna, because I've seen like the escalation on Twitter, right? I've seen how, you know, like I've seen enough of these like mass harassment campaigns that have happened against artists and like people being driven off the platform and stuff. I 100% think that that's gonna happen one day, and Joey or whoever else does it, right, who posts like something like this, is going to Pikachu face about it, and they're not actually going to address the problem, because the actual problem is that a culture has been cultivated, right, online right now that is extremely Puritan. It's extremely anti anything sexual whatsoever, right? And it's not just a left-right issue. Both sides are doing it, right? Because you have the manosphere, the anti-fap, no fap type stuff, right? That's one side of it. But then you have the leftist side of it, which is, oh, it's problematic and sexist and degrading to women to have the big anime tits and Azura Lane or whatever, right? So yeah. So I wanted to have a little rant about that because I saw it yesterday and it annoyed the shit out of me. DB Dice says, what's so funny is he used a manga deck screenshot which conveys the idea Joey the anime TM is sponsored by Crunchyroll and uses an unauthorized platform.
No, Crunchyroll by the big Kadokawa itself.
Yeah, it's not even Crunchyroll, it's Kadokawa, yeah.
Oh, I assume that Kadokawa also sponsors Crunchyroll, but
well, yeah, probably. But that is a good point. It reminds me of what was it? Was it Mother's Basement? I can't remember. It was Mother's Basement, or it was someone else who did like an anti-piracy video, and they literally had fucking Kiss Anime watermark on the footage they were using for the anime video.
That was very funny, but I still don't think you can beat the official box art had a soft watermark of some site. I don't know, was it something like Okami had an IGN logo? Yeah. Okami had an IGN logo on the box.
Yeah. So that was the little Twitter beef, I guess. Well, maybe not Twitter beef, but like the little Twitter drama that I kind of wanted to talk about. Because it's not like it's a major thing, you know. Like I'm not super like I hate this type of shit, and I think it's annoying as fuck. Because again, it's like you said, it perpetuates the harmful stereotypes. And this is the thing, right? I like niche shit. Like, I read a lot of these kind of, like, not necessarily this, because this doesn't really interest me that much, you know? But, like, I read a lot of this kind of niche, ecchi type stuff. Like, I Want to See You Embarrassed. I can't remember the Japanese name of it, but that's a really good one. That artist is fucking fantastic. I like their stuff. There was also the Perverted Housewife Hotel one. I think it's like Icky Dinky or something. That's fucking great too. Like I read a lot of stuff that's like this, and on some level, it's like, yeah, I kind of want to be able to talk about it, but at the same time, I don't want it to be fucking shunned into the sunlight to be disinfected by Joey to be like, oh, look how weird this is, you know, like. Because I earnestly do enjoy some of that stuff, you know. So, speaking of which, it looks like Mato Senshi no Slave got an update. I actually read a bunch of that. I guess we could transition into just talking about like shit we're watching / reading, because that was kind of something else we kind of wanted to do. Because we wanted to like cover that little short video and then just kind of shoot the shit. So we'll shoot the shit with the people in the chat, and we'll, just chill out, have a fun little
let
discussion.
me just do this and
I gotta
get a
bring
nice shot of.
Give us a nice
Free Ren.
stock copyright-free image to put on the screen while we have our little chill,
I have
chill
something.
chat.
One sec. Yes, then I'll
anime schedule open
here and transition. We have a nice image of an anime girl at the desk.
Ah, very nice. Nice. Look, bring up the stream.
Oh, yes.
It's your new waifu.
My seasonal waifu. Nah, it's
your
a good
seasonal
show.
waifu has arrived. Coffee flavored milk. So, who even was the dude who made the video we were talking about?
Was
it's a guy.
Yuko?
Yeah, it's a guy called Lol Yuko. Yeah, he's a small channel. He doesn't have a whole lot of. I mean, he's about the same
size actually.
us, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not punching down. Don't worry.
Well, I would punch down on somebody.
We would punch down. Yeah.
On somebody who has debates on genetic determinism and apparently sides with yes, it is a thing.
He's in that academic agent sphere, maybe. He's
or a wannabe sphere. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's an absolutely terrible profile image also.
But anyway, let's talk about fun stuff now, I guess. So yeah, you have adopted the seasonal waifu.
The hotness of the season.
Yes. I've been seeing some. I think Hughes has been putting out some really good sketches of. Talking about artists got me nostalgic for Hakabara. Yeah,
Hakabara is still active though. I believe.
Yes. So anyway, I haven't watched it yet. I'm probably going to get around to it. I think you mentioned like the first 5 episodes are already out.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's what I want, and that's my conversation thing. So.
Yeah, you wanted to have a conversation about that, but before we get into that, one more person in the chat has said, "Did you see the video by Weeb Comforter Autism? Where he claimed Roxy groomed Rudius because he was a kid, and Rudius groomed Selfie because he's actually an adult, and oh shit, everything is grooming basically." A video by some guy. Might have to look into that. Maybe was that one of the ones that you were posting before?
Well, I just there was a very funny image of 2 thumbnails, but they were just flipped.
That wasn't the same guy. It was there was another one that was Mushoku Tensei that we had lined up. But I guess we could look into that guy. I could get you to. I'll just copy paste that
but
guy's
it was
name.
just funny to just think of. Maybe I can do it real quick if I do.
Let me just stick that in the chat so we can search that up later. We'll have a look because we have been looking for new shit to cover. Weeb Commander. Okay, that's fine. No, don't worry about it. It's all good. We'll figure it out. we would have figured it out.
So
I'll put it in the chat.
If we're going to do Mushoku Tensei really quick in this, because we had a big argument way back when.
We did, yes. Classic episode. We're going all the way back to that classic argument. We should go back and do clips of like some of that shit because I think some of it would make really good standalone stuff one day.
30 minutes of arguing.
30 minutes of us arguing about whether or not Rudius is being a creep or not.
So my big stance, no, Roxy wasn't grooming, she was teaching. It's fine.
Well, I mean, that's a really weird argument because I don't really see what grooming him for what? What was
grooming him to be a mage?
Yeah, but obviously the implication is that she's grooming him for sexual related stuff. But that Rudius has always been a fucking horn dog. He's always been a perv. He's not he doesn't have the hots for Roxy because Roxy like sexually groomed him into having the hots, right? No, he's just into Roxy. Like he just likes you know, it's a very weird point. And then you have like the Rudius grooming selfie argument. That one you could probably like. I don't agree necessarily. I think you could make the argument, and I think didn't you make that argument at one point?
Yeah, but because
that wasn't the argument we had. The argument we had was about what's her name? Eris. It was the scene with Eris and like the first semi-sexual encounter where he fumbled the ball. That was what we were talking about. Way back. If you can go, I think wasn't that like the Mother's Basement episode? People wanted to find it. I think it was like it was a Mother's Basement video on the first season, I think. And I think that's when we had like the big argument about it. And I got really fucking mad. It was a fun time. So the idea that Rudy, like I can get that argument a lot more. I think that argument has a bit more merit, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessarily that explicit.
So so if you watch the stream right now, I have the exact moment where Rudy says, "I'm going to raise Sylphiette to be my ideal woman."
Yeah, yeah.
Which is kind of like the basis of...
That's a little bit more explicit. Yeah, maybe I'm memory holding some shit because it was like how many years ago.
So I'm pretty confident to say Rudy's at least intention was to groom Sylvie pretty hard.
I can't really argue with that now. I'm not gonna argue that now. Yeah, I'll take the L. But at the same time, I don't necessarily view that as like. I mean, obviously it's a bad thing morally, but it's not like in terms of like the story. It's like, yeah, all right. And of course, things don't go to plan, and it's weird how like that was his intent, and then it happened anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
That was his intent, and then he gets sent away, and then the mass teleport happens, and then Selfie goes on her own little adventure, obviously, that we get to see in like.
And she grows up kind of, more independent and whatnot, and becomes her own.
But then she ends up riding his dick anyway. She ends up also, and not only that, she ends up being a bit of a horn dog herself, because I mean, you saw the scene where she's like, "I'm gonna have so many babies."
I
fucking died. I fucking died, man. That shit had me cracking the fuck up, man. So funny.
I saw people say, "Oh, she's crazy. Oh, she's freaky." All that stuff. I was kind of sad because what Sylvie was actually, telling a very tame fantasy.
I mean, by Twitter standards, it's not that tame. By our standards, it's very tame. But I think it's because she's saying the quiet part out loud, and I think that's the joke.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I think what was she asked specifically? I can't remember.
What do you see your relationship to be?
Yeah. How do you see your relationship with Rudis? And then she goes on to this like 30-second tirade about how he's gonna ask to get her pregnant and how many babies she's gonna have, and she's like hugging like a statue and like fucking.
Mounting a statue, really.
She's like mounting a statue. She's like ready to go. I think I saw, what was the meme? I saw like a meme about this. Oh shit!
Oh, sorry, I missed that meme.
Did I post that in the anime chat? I can't fucking remember. I might have to go have a look and see if I can find it, because it was on point. It was like comparing different elves or something. I have to go and have a look. In the meantime, I guess since we're still talking about Mushoku Tensei, we might as well, like, how did you feel about season 2? Let's count season 2 plus the special episode with Selfie. Let's do both, because I assume you've seen both at least at this point.
What's the second special episode? I might not have.
The episode with, it was basically Selfie.
Episode
Basically,
0?
what happened after... It was what happened after she got teleported.
Oh, episode 0.
Basically.
Yeah, I watched that.
Yeah. Trying to find if I could see this meme, because I remember seeing it, but I don't know where it got posted. But anyway, so I watched episode 0. I thought it was alright. I mean, you could say it's a little bit fillery, but at the same time, it was kind of interesting just to kind of see like what she got up to after the mass teleport and what happened, and it kind of does set up a lot of things for the season. So I feel like I feel I didn't find the meme I was looking for, but I found something better. But I'll put it in the chat in a minute. But I felt like it was enjoyable. I had a good time watching it. I thought it was quite fun. I'd give it a pretty solid score. So what did you think about it?
Yeah, so I thought it was a very good season. It felt kind of slower because he was staying in one place for once.
Yeah, he stayed in that one town for a while, and then he kind of then he went to the Magic Academy. So it's like the season is kind of split into like two parts. You have like him adventuring with that group in the town, and then you have Harry Potter arc.
Yeah,
basically.
Yes,
is what you've got.
So I thought that his erectile dysfunction was pretty well handled and was very believable, besides writing a good reason why he doesn't fuck around.
Interestingly enough, I hate to interrupt you. I mean, I'm being rude. I should let you finish. But I saw an interesting thread by someone who is a psychologist, I believe, or someone who is in the know about that stuff. And they made like a giant fucking thread talking specifically about the representation of post-traumatic stress disorder within Rudy's erectile dysfunction. And it was a very interesting read. It was very interesting. I'd have to go track that down. Possibly. Because it was a fascinating read, because the way that they portray it in the show is actually, so, like you said, it's actually somewhat realistic to how it kind of works, where he just has it's not happening for him, and he's having issues. I guess for context, maybe we should say that. So the context behind it is, I believe, I wouldn't say Eris raped him, but I think it's the combo of her basically one night standing and then fucking off. Kind of broke him mentally.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it kind of broke him mentally in a way.
Emotional trust broken.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's interesting. This kind of goes back to. I know I'm really fucking going out off in the weeds, and I should have let you finish what you thought about the season, but I kind of want to talk about this, right? There's always this talk about how Rudius is a 40-year-old man in a kid's body, right? Constantly, right? But the context that people leave out about that was he was a 40-year-old virgin hikikomori otaku in a man's body. This man is already socially stunted, right? So he's socially stunted. He goes on this wild adventure in the Demon Continent with Eris for like, how many years? I don't know how many years it was, but it was like they spent a long fucking time together.
It's
right?
5 years, because he gets the staff.
5 years, right? He spends 5 years with this chick, right? Forming a relationship with her, but in a sense, right? Then they get back home. She fucking semi-rape. I wouldn't say it was rape, but it's like she basically fucked and left, right?
Mm-hmm.
She one night standed him, fucks off without barely even saying goodbye. Yeah, no, that would fuck him up. That would fuck anyone up, to be honest. Like, can you fucking imagine? Like, yeah, I'm gonna use you as a dildo, and then I'm just gonna leave. Like, people will joke about that shit, because obviously men do that a lot with women, right? But it's bad then too, technically. You know?
Yeah,
you know
breaking
like,
emotional trusts messes
is
you up.
bad. Like Jesus Christ! Like, that was fucking yeah. So no wonder that kind of fucked him up, and it was PTSD in a sense, because PTSD is complicated like that. And that led to him effectively getting erectile dysfunction from that event because he's emotionally fucked. And that is it is apparently a real thing that can happen, especially with people that are obviously sexual assault survivors and stuff, where she ghosted him. That's the word I'm looking for. Thanks, 5-0.
All right.
Ghosted him. So
I
anyway,
thought rape was a bit strange, but all right, ghost is yeah.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for in my head, but I couldn't fucking I couldn't put it together because I was like, it's not like a one night stand, you know. It's like yeah, no, she ghosted him. She ghosted him hard. And so it's a very interesting portrayal of that, and it's not something that you see a lot in media, and it's not something that's really covered a lot because it's obviously like it's a men's issue, you know. Like it's a very male centric.
It's a very emasculating issue either. So you don't.
Yeah, it is. It's and the way it was portrayed was very interesting with that first half where he's forming a relationship with this new chick, right? And they're kind of getting along, but then when it comes to getting down dirty, he can't get it up, and she interprets that in what I would argue would be the very stereotypical woman way to interpret that. This is actually the meme I was talking about. The meme was her. It was selfie versus her. It was like, oh, am I not good enough for you? I'm only doing this out of obligation. I don't actually like you, tsundere type stuff.
So,
right?
Nretsew, can you pause real quick because I'm going to talk a little bit about Rudy, and then we can go on through the season.
Yeah, I did kind of fuck you up there. I'm actually gonna go take a piss. So I'll let you talk to the chat while I quickly fucking.
All alone. All right, so.
Yeah. I'll be back in a sec.
All right, so I'm going to say outrageous things. So I think that, somewhat strangely perhaps, that Rudy is at its oldest when he is a baby as Rudy, because he only really has the experience of an adult at that point, and he very much tries to exert his adultness on others at that point, over Roxy, over Sylphie, planning to make her her ideal woman. But then he gets confronted with adults and the systems and the noble houses and stuff, and then he's kind of forced into his age, his appropriate age. He's removed from the ability to exert his 40-year-old power, his knowledge. When he's in the demon continent, he has to rely on a big scary man with the green hair, and then he grows to be younger in a sense. Then he becomes 15, and he gets into 15-year-old problems. And I believe that really from the moment of 15, when Ares ghosts him, that's the moment that he starts really growing again. Are you back, Nretsew?
I am. I got myself a drink as well, so my voice box doesn't explode.
Yeah, all right. Now, did you catch my last bit?
I caught the end of it where you were talking about him growing, and how it's interesting because you could say that when Eris ghosted him, he sort of had like a regression almost. Like he kind of regressed a little bit, and then he
to summarize it real quick. It's my belief, my reading of the text, that Rudy is at its all. The mind of Rudy is at its oldest when he's a baby, when he's 5 years old. But then when he is sent away to Ares and to teach Ares, especially to the demon continent. It's 13, so it's 3 years traveling.
Yeah.
All right. He's kind of forced into to be younger, when he's at the noble house with the family. He is forced to be younger when he's under the protection of the spirit. And when Eris leaves him, that is the moment when he kind of fully regresses into the body that he is. That's really the moment that his mind and body becomes one. That's what I think of Rudy.
I think that's an interesting way to look at it. I don't have any disagreement.
So that's also why I think Rudy's moral behavior is kind of worse when he's 10 years old than he is 15 years old. I'm much more forgiving to him as a 15-year-old than a 10-year-old because in my
I'm not gonna rehash that whole argument. We're not gonna have that.
No, that's just my preamble.
No, I get what you mean though. I get what you mean. I can understand where you're coming from. Don't worry.
So now it's season 2. Rudy is Rudy is depressed.
He is the big D. Yeah, he is fucking. He is very depressed after getting ghosted. Yeah.
And I kind of like sold that he's kind of Deus Ex, knows what's going on with Rudy. Because it would be very long and painful to have him depressed for so long. I kind of like sold that intuitive, nah, you're just depressed man, and then and then he's
you get back on the fucking horse, boy.
Of course, Soldat's way is not a therapist, and he doesn't do it in a completely healthy way. But confrontation. Hey, Rudy, you're faking it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the funny thing about that is that's like, it's weird how it's a very realistic portrayal of like male bonding because it's like, yeah, you're faking it. Rudy snaps, beats the shit out of him, and then it's like, oh yeah, we're friends now. That is actually a very I think I had a few instances of that in primary school, where it was like you'd have like the bully, and then you'd have a scrap, and then it's like, oh yeah, we're friends now.
Yeah, all my school fights were no, I really hate him. That's why I fight.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, you hate them before the fight. I'm talking about like after the fight.
No,
after you hash it out. It all depends. It's all relative, obviously. Like, different people, different shit, right? But it is an interesting. I thought the portrayal was interesting, and him as a character was also quite, it was somewhat interesting as well. So it was.
No, kind of in retrospect, he is a very. If I were to, a big brain critter literary critique, is that Soldat is really a designed character for a purpose. He's very much a side character. Yeah. He's there to get Rudy and move him to another place, and he's very good at that. But Soldat isn't very.
It's to get him kick-started, basically. We got to kick-start the motor.
Yes.
Get him back on the horse. So yeah, to kind of move a little bit faster, I guess. That whole first arc I thought was really interesting. It was very good. And then of course we move on to the magic school, where we get the whole Sylphie as sunglasses man. Fritz, yeah. Now, I really liked the whole like, holy shit, am I gay stuff. I thought that was funny.
I thought it was interesting that he once said, "Oh damn, I'm in love." He says he believes it himself. He doesn't deny it per se, but then he immediately starts seeking excuses.
Yeah. He's like, wait a minute. It's like the R-Trap's gay fucking stuff. It's like. A little bit, right?
But he says, "Oh, I'm in love."
But the interesting thing is, I don't think he was ever like, "Oh, this is a bad thing that I might be gay." Like, or I would assume he probably thought bi, because it's not like he's not attracted to women. It was just because of the PTSD, his dick wasn't getting up, right?
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. So, I think it was more like, oh, am I bi? What? You know?
Yeah, true. But my what I think was most funny was, oh, I'm in love with a man. Let's ask the guy if he's actually a man or not. The principal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, when you're dealing with like androgyny, like Fritz, I can kind of understand. Might not be the worst idea to get to the bottom of the situation, you know, because you don't, you know, if it's a fucking good enough trap, you're not gonna know, are you? So
Yeah.
I can kind of understand from that perspective.
Oh, Nretsew, another question. When did you realize that it was Annalise? Did I say that right? No, Annalise is the elf. What's her name again? The princess.
Annalise is the what now?
Annalise is the elf with the curse.
Oh, you mean the nymphomaniac chick?
Yeah, but I want the princess's name. Anyway, princess.
Okay, you're gonna have to walk me through this because I have no fucking idea what you're talking.
Fritz is employed by Princess name.
What's her name?
Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to know her name. The name of the prince.
Remember. I don't remember.
Terrible. Seasonal anime watchers.
Yeah,
in action.
season anime watcher. Fucking memory hold immediately. Yeah.
After it's over. So, you know that when Rudy meets Fritz at the market, that is actually the princess.
Ah, yes, I do know that. Yeah.
When did you realize that it was the princess and not Fritz?
I don't actually recall when I realized it. I had an inkling that something was up, but I don't think I really hammered it in until I think it was explicitly said. Like I had a feeling it was something.
I thought it was very strange that Luke was so defensive in the street.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I just like these moments in general in anime or in stories, because also in Overlord you have these, hidden disguises, roles, doppelgangers and all that stuff. So it's always fun to pick them out before it's explicitly told. So I would just it's a little side thing because I enjoy that in the story. But Sylvie, we got the story. Rudy buys a slave. Ariel.
Yes, he did.
Ariel, all right.
Yeah, Ariel. Yeah. Thanks, Okami. Rudy buys a slave. That caused a little bit of Twitter drama, which was quite funny. There was you'd like it actually because there was a bit of a translation error that happened that caused a bit of a commotion. It was quite fun.
Yeah, what translation?
Okay, so the author came out and he kind of did an interview or something where he explained Rudius's thoughts on slavery, where he's basically like, he's not like pro slavery, but it's like he has like the idea of it's basically like all cultures are equal. He's in another world. He's not gonna he's not gonna do the whole like, oh, we have to demolish the systems of oppression type shit. You know? Like Rudius is more like, I'm in this world. This world has slavery. And then he kind of rationalizes it as like, oh, well, sometimes slaves can be happy. Like typical, like, that's not good rationalization, obviously. And it's, American slaver rationalization. But again, the author is talking about this from like the perspective of Rudy, right? Not from his own personal feelings about slavery, right? He's trying to explain like, this is what Rudy thinks, right? Rudy is like, he's in this other world. He doesn't want to fuck with the system in that respect. So he's just going to like, here's the slavery, right? Here's the slavery. So what ended up happening was that interview made its way to Twitter, and people thought that the author was talking about his own thoughts and not Rudius's thoughts, even though he explicitly says that he's talking about Rudius's thoughts, because it was taken out of context, right? And that caused like a big drama because everyone was like, "Holy shit! The author of Mushoku Tensei is pro-slavery. What the fuck? What? He doesn't want to dismantle what?" And then what happened was he came onto Twitter and he was like, "No, guys, I wasn't talking about my own feelings. I was talking about Rudius's feelings. I apologize if this offended anyone." Right? However, he didn't actually apologize because people, even I, got on his case because I'm like, don't apologize to these fucking Twitter people because they don't. It's not going to help. You know, like they're going to be mad no matter what. They're going to be mad no matter what. Like if you apologize, it's just going to make it worse because they smell blood in the water and they're just going to demand more, right? So apologizing is a bad idea. Don't do it. Never apologize. At least to mobs, I guess I should clarify, right? Because there's a difference between like personally offending someone and apologizing to them versus apologizing to the mob, right? The mob doesn't give a shit, right? But it created another mob because now all the people that hate the other mob, right, are like, why did you apologize? Oh, he chickened out. Oh, he's a push, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? But then he has to come back onto Twitter and be like, I didn't apologize. What the fuck are you all talking about? What the fuck? What do you mean I apologize? Like, it turns out when you translate the tweet via shitty machine translation on Twitter.
Oh no, machine translations.
Yeah, it makes it sound like he's apologizing.
He's just being formal.
He was just being formal. He wasn't actually apologizing. Because when you translated it, it sounds like a direct apology. But when you the actual and this was explained in like people in the response tweets to the tweet where he was really fucking confused. Because he was actually legitimately confused. He was like, what the fuck? Why is everyone saying I'm apologizing? Like, I never apologized. What the fuck's going on? What's this? And a bunch of Japanese English users were like explaining to him like, this is what it translates to when you machine translate it. And he was like, oh, I get it now. He was like, oh, okay. Well, and it kind of ended with him just basically being like, well, I've explained myself now. I'm not going to, dwell on it, like all's well that ends well, basically. Right. But it was a very funny little, like, you had like the initial translation of the interview that gets taken out of context and put on Twitter. Everyone gets mad. He comes on Twitter and explains it was taken out of context, calm down, right? And then it gets translated again, and people get mad because they think he's apologized. And then he comes back onto Twitter to be like, what the fuck is everyone talking about? I didn't apologize. And so it was a fun drama. That was a fun one. But that's all tying back to the whole Rudy buys a slave. So how did you feel about Rudy buying a slave, Ellie? How did you feel about it?
I thought I looked at more of a what early isekai did with slavery more than
that is true, because you have to think of it in the context of Mushoku Tensei is like a older quote unquote isekai. So
I wasn't. In that sense, I was less interested in the actual narrative of the story and more of a, the chronology of slavery in isekai.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say it. Say it.
Chronological. Even I can't think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because chronological isn't right. It's like the chronology. I guess.
Yeah, chronology. Yes, the chronology of slavery in isekai. That was my angle of it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It but to maybe criticize, I guess. Mushoku Tensei.
You're gonna criticize an anime?
Yes. I would say that Rudy was kind of a groomer.
Oh no!
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you.
So that Mushoku Tensei is very much in the sphere of the good slave owner.
Yes.
Now for me, the guy, so Rudy from Mushoku Tensei, Then you have Death March, also buys a cart full of slaves and is a good owner because they can do what they want, but they stayed with them. Also Slime, of course. All these stories where there's slavery in the world, the main character engages with them, but he is nice. And slavery isn't really addressed outside of that.
Yeah, it's like what I was saying, which was why people were getting mad with the explanation of Rudy's perspective on slavery, because like the main criticism, specifically from leftists, right, is that the story doesn't immediately fucking stop, right, and go into we have to dismantle the system of slavery entirely.
Yeah,
right?
so
Like, that's the criticism.
So
now, I'm not saying that's your criticism. I'm saying that's the common leftist perspective criticism that I saw.
I would more say the people who can't read literature or
basically,
media.
Basically, yeah. Because like the idea is basically because the story didn't immediately pivot into we have to start the revolution and take down the shit, right? It's bad basically because they don't do, which I don't think is your argument, because your argument sounds more just kind of like you're just addressing that. Yeah, it is kind of weird that Rudy is not super like slavery is weird, you know. You know what I mean?
Rudy should be more concerned.
He's not very like phased by it, you know. You know.
And I'm very much amicable to the argument that Rudy already knew that slavery exists, but it didn't come up in the anime. And
I don't think. Yeah, probably not. I mean, he went to. I mean, the Demon Continent, kind of like. I mean, they saved a whole bunch of those people that were going to get enslaved, didn't they? Like early, like when they.
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't on the Demon Continent anymore.
That wasn't on the Demon Continent, but it was like in that arc. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, sure. He's traveling.
The traveling arc. So it's not like it's not like he didn't like encounter the slavery, I guess. Like, but this was more like it's like he saw the back end of it, and now he's seeing the front end of it, and he's suspiciously not like
concerned.
You know what I mean? He's not concerned. Yeah. So I can get that. I can understand that. You know, it's a valid point.
So yeah, I mean, but still. In a sense, Mushoku Tensei is strangely ambivalent about slavery in its depiction. Because Shield Hero, of course, does everything in its power to depict slave trade as bad, outside of explicitly saying that slave trade is bad.
Which is the weird thing of like people criticizing it because it's like it is like explicitly telling you. Almost like constantly, slavery's bad. Okay, you know, slavery is actually bad. Like it doesn't make any like qualms about portraying like what he's doing like when he buys the slave. Like this isn't meant to be a good thing. It's like the outcome ended up being good, but that doesn't mean that the system is good. Basically.
So you know, Shield Hero does lighting and dark faces and Dutch angles to all depict that slavery is bad, and that's how that does it.
And Mushoku Tensei is like, it's like they go to the fucking slave Walmart, just go to like. Just gonna go to like the slave house and just pick out a slave. You've just got slaves
and leave again.
There.
Yeah.
And leave, it's like you'd go to the dairy and pick up some milk. You know, you're gonna go pick up a slave.
If Mushoku Tensei would want to...
like they're sitting in like the cubicle with the guy, and he's got like the book of slaves, and it's like they're reading a catalog. Just go through the catalog. He's like, how about this high elf? She might have some good magical adaptability. And then Rudy's like, no, we need one that's young because we need to train them to do incantationless magic and shit. So we gotta, and to like boost their mana when they're young, you know, like he did, right?
Yeah.
So So that kind of leads into your point, right? Like it's treated very nonchalant, you know. It's like,
Mushoku Tensei could have beaten the allegations of slavery being okay or in Rudy's eyes if the venue was, a little bit more darkly lit.
well, okay, to harken back to that interview and to play semi-devil's advocate, I think that was kind of the point. Was I think they wanted specifically to show it like that. I don't think it was intended that it was supposed to be like dark and thingy, because again, the author had stated that this is Rudy's perspective, right? So it's probably being like, because we're viewing the story through Rudius's eyes at this point, basically, right? So I would assume that that's the intended portrayal is how it was shown, is what I'm getting at. So it's kind of like, I'm not going to criticize, like, you can criticize it for, being what it is to an extent, but I'm not going to, like, it's not like it's trying to be slavery bad and failing at it, if that makes sense. It's very much like, yeah, no, this is how, this is slavery in the world, right? This is it. It's not being portrayed as necessarily like super good or super bad. It's just kind of like, yeah, here's the slave Walmart. Slavery Walmart,
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's what I that's what I kind of.
So that's the
missed.
slavery discussion done.
Yeah.
the 4-hour slavery discussion.
I
I guess we could move on to, because something I was really interested by was what's her name, the masked girl. Can't remember her name.
Shizuka.
Yes, I mentioned last stream about the schizo thread that I sadly couldn't save because it was great about how she's evil and typical to like and how she's like a normie basically
yes.
and stuff. So okay, so to kind of explain, right?
Yeah,
so
I remember
she is
some bits. Go on.
Yeah. Because I fucking I couldn't get the tweet before it was taken away. It was a fucking shame. Because the guy got his account suspended, which was a shame. But anyway, so the basic idea of her character, which I found really interesting, is she is literally an antithesis to Rudy, in a sense, right? Because she is essentially like a 16-year-old girl who got typical isekai, right? She got like teleported. Yeah, Mushoku Tensei Talk. She got she got basically if you wanted to, you could bring up the meme that I posted in the pop chat that I found when I was hunting for a different meme, but the one that I found was good enough. The one that I found was good enough. It's not the one I wanted, but it'll do. So basically she is like a 16-year-old girl who got teleported into the world against her will. She doesn't have any magic because she wasn't born into the world. I believe that's like the hypothesis of how the mechanic works, because she wasn't born into the world like Rudy was. She doesn't have any magic compared to Rudy, who has shitloads of magic, right? Because he trained at an early age to tune his magic, right? And her goal is she wants to get the fuck out. She hates the world. She thinks it's basically like a video game. She doesn't treat the world with any like form of respect or reverence or wonder, right? She just kind of sees it as like an inconvenience to her that she's been taken away from her life in the real world, and she wants to go back. And it's a very interesting like contrast to Rudy, because obviously Rudy is more, he's adapted into this new world. He's kind of gotten, come to like it. He's enjoying his time in the world. Like, everything that's happened to him, regardless, he is more happy in this world than he was in the real world. So he doesn't really want to go back, right? And I think that I'm hoping that in the next core, because obviously it's a 2 core, and we're going to get the next core down the line.
In a half
right?
a year.
In about half a year, probably. I'm very interested to see more of this dynamic. I want to see how this kind of plays out, because I think it's a very interesting thing to do from a writing perspective, to be like, look, here is the literal antithesis of the main character. Not a villain, but in terms of like every other aspect, they are polar opposites, like yin and yang almost, and we're going to have these two characters sort of clash, and their philosophies are going to interact with each other, and we're going to see the differences between them. So yeah, I'm fascinated to see where that goes. I thought that whole thing was really interesting. So what did you think about it?
So
Also,
I
the
thought
meme showed up on my stream.
so.
It's good.
The most important thing I think in that interaction, or the most telling part of that interaction between Rudy and Nano or Shizuka, I think Shizuka is the better.
Yeah.
Shizuka-chan, is that the Mushoku Tensei Talk thing is really weird. I'll switch back.
I'll let you. You'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. That when she asks for Rudy's name, Rudy says Rudy is Grey Rat, and her immediate response is, "That is just your alias." Meaning, this is not who you are. And of course, to Rudy, this is who Rudy is. But she, of course, doesn't see the world as real, as she explicitly says. It's not real to her. She is very constantly disassociated with the entire world she's in. And that's not fun, of course.
Yeah, it's not fun for her, yeah.
She does say some interesting things, like if you mess around too much, you'll get erased and whatnot.
Yeah.
How much that would be true, I don't know. Rudy thought he was just trading his mana. Turns out that he has some kind of massive reserve from birth.
I think it was like I don't remember if that was the case. I think it's like he has a reserve, but it's also like a bit of both. Like, I think he had like natural aptitude, but then he also trained. It's kind of like how it was explained, or something like that. I'd have to. Also, Okami in the chat. Let's be honest. If Nanaoshi had been given magic, she would want to bring people to the world of Mushoku Tensei, like Log Horizon. Well, like we said, there's like apparently some mechanic where if you fuck around too much, you get erased. So, don't know if that would actually work.
She believes that at least, or
she believes that, yeah. Well, she was traveling with the what's his name, the dragon.
Orsted's the dragon god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my own theory, which I found the talk we had, Laplace factor, whatever that means. I don't know.
I'm sure it'll be explained.
That's Rudy. The theory with this anime only theory that Rudy was born into the world before Nanahoshi was teleported in. The only difference is that Rudy died at the supposed moment of transfer, which makes me believe that. And of course, Paul never had a son, only 2 daughters of the Laplace factor. I don't know what the Laplace factor is. That would be explained later. Okami, you're spoiling me, you damn primary.
But anyhow,
Rudy
to fast forward a little bit. I think you mentioned this in the last stream, the theory that the son was meant to be stillborn. Rudius's soul got transformed into the stillborn son.
Yes, stillborn. That's why he's out of sight of Orsted, or at least he's not supposed to be there. Something mana is added. That's basically the bigger thing.
Something. Yeah. It's an interesting theory. Yeah. But I talking more about, like I said, I just like the contrast from a storytelling perspective. I think it's very interesting, and I'm interested to see where the story kind of takes it. I have been spoiled a little bit on some stuff from just browsing Twitter and whatnot, so I kind of know where the story ends specifically, or not specifically, but mostly because there's been talk about what the author's doing next with the setting. So I can't, and that was some news that I saw. So I know where Rudius's journey is heading towards it. It's going to be quite fun. But I think that yeah, I guess to kind of cap off Mushoku Tensei Talk, because we've been talking about Mushoku Tensei for like probably an hour or two now.
Annalise, good character. I had my expectation pleasantly subverted when she was so suddenly loyal to a man.
Mm.
Right?
Oh yeah, so it's Laplace Factor was something that was talked about in the show. It was something after
I believe it was
the
worded
forearm
differently.
man. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Because I kind of want to talk about other stuff other than Mushoku Tensei.
All right, so
we could do a whole bloody cast about Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah, one last thing I want to mention. Very funny foreshadowing that Kishiriku's small form is because she has lost parts of herself. Because when Bagigadi guy lost his arms, he was a much smaller. And when he got arms back, he grew bigger. So I would believe that Kishiriku also has lost some stuff, and when she gets that, she will grow bigger as well.
Well, I believe Rudy mentioned when he like saw a statue of her in like the dungeon.
Yeah, she had big breasts, and she doesn't now.
She was a big woman. So yeah, interesting stuff, Mushoku Tensei. So anyway, what shall we talk about now? We got what's coming out this season that we're interested in?
Frieren, Journey After the End.
Yes, because you've watched that. Yep.
5 episodes. Very.
No, it's because she reincarnated and grows really slow. Yeah, look, Okami's in the chat being the Mushoku Tensei expert, correcting us. Making sure we're correct. No, it's not. It's not. I think didn't she mention that she like it's like the reincarnation?
Well, she says she's returned every single time she's on screen. So
yeah, so it's something like that.
Also,
but no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's good. It's good to be corrected on the correct information. So, but anyway, you back to your elf waifu that you won't shut up.
Another one.
Another one. Yeah.
Frieren, Demon King is dead. Journey is over. Peace has returned to the lands. What do you after, especially when you're a nigh immortal elf? Watch all your friends. All your friends is going to die.
Yes.
What do you do? And that's basically it. And
it seems like a very chill show, what I've seen.
It's a very reflective show. It invites much reflection on yourself, on what you want to leave behind, the people you have met, what do they mean to you, and what do you mean to them. In that sense, it's very simple, and there's a lot less to talk about that than Mushoku Tensei, where we can talk about who is Rudy born into the body of a stillborn.
Yeah, there's a lot less fairy crafting, basically.
Yeah, and here it's just, hey Nretsew, how would you like to see your son die? Because you because you outlive your son or you outlive your friends. How would that feel?
Yeah, and then you also have to consider you do. Yeah, it's a very like you said, very reflective. I haven't started it yet. I'm probably going to get around to it at some point. I'll just sit down and watch the whole long form. First 5 episodes released all at once as a movie kind of thing.
Well, 4 episodes, and that's part 2. Perhaps the more interesting thing that if this trend continues, I'm pretty optimistic about it, or much enthusiasm for this breaking of having to tell a story in 30 minutes. That anime is allowed to go 2 hours long to set up a story.
Yeah, because I mean, in the West, we've seen a lot of Netflix shows.
Pilot episodes.
Yeah, well, Netflix shows in general have started to be like an hour long per episode. Like you'll have less episodes per season, but each one of those episodes will be like an hour, right? So, it's a trend that I've noticed, and I do agree it's an interesting thing to talk about. How that's going to affect the storytelling, having that breathing room, so it's not, oh, we have to find a place to cut the episode at. You know, there has to be like a beginning, middle, and end almost to the episode. So yeah.
How do you spell pilot?
I don't.
Polite
You're asking
episodes.
the polite anime polite.
Polite. I don't care. I'm not native anyway. You can't judge me.
Yeah, whatever. You should put whatever. Yeah. So basically, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I mean, because we saw that with Oshi no Koi, and I thought that was very good. That was a very
90 minutes of, getting through, getting
through the setup, basically. Like this is the setup for the show. Getting the show.
And Freeren does something similar where you really get the purpose of the show 4 episodes in. After the end of the 4th episode, then you get your goal of the series, the show, and the manga, of course. And I would...
Yeah, also, hello, Samu, how you doing?
It's been a while. Where I believe that Oshinoko is very much made to be one 90-minute chunk. Right? There's no...
Yeah, it's design. It's not like they took 3 anime episodes and just kind of slapped them all together.
Freeren...
It feels like...
Sorry. Freeren is much more segmented into chapters, which are also segmented into time. So you really can't, after 2 chapters of the manga, then it's another 2 time skip. You can place an OP and ED at the end of that. There you got an episode that's about 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
But but because the purpose of the journey after the end comes into view after 4 episodes, airing those 4 episodes all together in an hour, slightly less chunk, it really kind of frees up your storytelling, and that's what I find most interesting.
I also think it's going to help a lot with pacing, because a common complaint that I've had with some anime is that the pacing is super fucking fast. Sometimes you don't often have a lot of room to kind of let things breathe, and it's been a common issue with a lot of modern animes where you'll be watching it and it's like they're trying to cram so much information into like a 30-minute episode, and you're either going to lose stuff's going to have to get cut, or you're going to have to rush through things that would otherwise get more dedicated parts in like a manga format where you can like segment it a bit better. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing to talk.
I mean, I don't think that Freeren is. I don't think that Freeren is cutting much more than a regular manga adaptation is. It's just that's 2-hour chunk again. That really condenses the setup, the start, and is really watch
it lets you get right into the good stuff.
The good stuff, yeah. And I mean, it's now 5 episodes, and I don't expect it to be 15 episodes because it aired 4 episodes at once. I believe it's just going to be a 12 episode thing.
I can have a look. I've got any chart open, so.
Because Oshi no Ko was 11 episodes, where episodes 1 and 2 were, aired together.
No, okay, it's 2 choirs back to back, premiered with 4 episodes back to back. So it's 2 choirs, so it's going to probably be 12 and then 12.
All right, so yeah, so it's still going to be this core is going to be 12 episodes, where the
Yeah,
5 have already aired.
but like I said, it's back to back, so it'll be 12 episodes and then maybe like a little break, and then it'll go straight into the next, probably.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm reading on that live chart.
Oh, Samu,
So
I'm willing to go back for that a brief recap. The reason why you
oh yeah. Also, if you wanted to, you theoretically, because it looks like we've finally got the ability to fucking scrape live streams. So if you wanted to just click back in the stream, you could just do that. But anyway, yeah, just okay. So to sum up the guy's points, it was basically just typical.
the
How
West
would you
has
describe it? Like
fallen.
the West has fallen, billions must fap. Basically, this is kind of what it was. Along with a bunch of the pseudoscience-y type stuff around, porn and masturbation addiction and that kind of stuff. So
Dopamine addiction, and then he says that because dopamine addiction is real, he says, and dopamine
something like
addiction
that.
is porn addiction, and these stories are basically porn. Therefore, these series that are basically porn are dopamine addicting, and therefore, because they are
And
dopamine addicting,
therefore bad, basically.
it's a bunch of faulty premises and circular reasonings. It was weird.
So yeah.
But Nretsew, do you have others? There's Matano Seihei, if I'm correct saying that.
Matano, what now?
Seihei no Dere, the slave anime with the chain. The guy.
Yes, I was reading that. I don't know when I think the anime for that's next season or a couple seasons.
Yeah, I heard that it got an adaptation.
A trailer, yeah. It's looking like it's going to be a CGI feast, so I don't have high hopes for it. I don't have high hopes for it, but the manga's really good.
I read the manga. Really good art.
Yeah, I recently binged the manga and got up to date. I'm up to date with it now. It's really good. I believe it's the same author and artist behind Akame ga Kill, I believe, which is a very interesting contrast. It's very interesting to go from like Akame ga Kill to fucking to fucking Slave, where it's like,
I wasn't interested in Akame no Kill because it sounded very edgy.
I did the hardcore, edgiest of the edge, goriest of the gores. Now I'm gonna do the itchiest of the itchies, the sexiest of the sexies. Like, man only works in extremes, apparently. But no, it's a very good read. It's a very good. We talked about it. We talked about it back in the stream. You can, once we're done. I mean, we could do timestamps probably. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we can do, but the stream has to be over first. Don't worry.
Yeah. We'll figure something out. We'll do some. We will do things. So. Yeah, I was reading that's a very fun one. I like how itchy that is. So I'm interested to see how censored it's going to be in anime, because fucking Christ, it's going to be really hard to get that on television. Some of that is very, very, very classic itchy, which is good to see because we don't have a whole lot of those coming up. And of course we can look
anime,
look
of course.
Not in anime, yeah, but we can also look forward to looking up to Magical Girls getting its anime too. Although I'm very hesitant about that one because it's being done by the same studio that did the Girls Frontline anime that we don't talk about because it was fucking terrible. So, although, I mean, it's got directorial staff that did, To Love Ru, so it might be all right. I just wouldn't have high expectations for the action scenes, but hopefully the itchy and that's also going to. But, considering how censored things are these days, even on Blu-rays, because that was a discussion that was happening, but there was an anime that was censored even in the Blu-rays. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But so I've been reading that. there's a few other things I've been reading, but it's probably not necessarily worth talking about a whole lot. It's basically a lot of the same. In terms of watching stuff this season, I sent you a meme because that was one of the first things I watched when it came out.
Yeah, the Eminence in the Shadow. I still haven't watched any of it.
It's so fucking great. I fucking love it because it's fun. All right, like it is unabashedly fun. Like it's very unironic in terms of, because a lot of people will be like, oh, it's a parody. Oh, it's like Konosuba, right? It's like, oh, it's parodying Isekai, or it's a deconstruction or whatever. But it's like, no, it's literally just, hey, let's have as much fun with this premise as we possibly can. And it's fucking ridiculous. It's so great. Like, that meme was from like the first episode that recently aired, and it's so it encapsulates just like the tone of it, because it's like, it's super serial, but at the same time it's got some goofy shit because the main character's a goofball, and I love it. I fucking love it. It's great. It's a fantastic show. I'm glad we're getting more of it. Can't fucking wait. Probably gonna watch Shield Hero when that pops up. I think it already came out, but I haven't watched the first episode yet, so I'm gonna probably catch up on that. Dr. Stone's coming out in 4 days. Gonna watch that. Goblin Slayer 2.
I know I mentioned it before. I read a bunch of Dr. Stone, and oh yeah, there was a video idea of mine. I'm probably never going to make a video because it's surprisingly hard.
Original content on
it's
this
hard.
channel.
It's hard to make. It's hard to make videos with a script and finding stuff for it. No,
actually making content. What?
It's hard. Streaming is easy.
Yeah.
No, my thing with Dr. Stone, right? I liked reading Dr. Stone, but at some point I was really annoyed how uncritical it was at what Senku wanted to achieve. Right, I believed I've at least mentioned this in the chat.
I think he mentioned that it gets really boring as it goes on.
Well,
that's one of the things I recall you saying.
Maybe not boring. It just I was getting bored at how again how uncritical it was, because Dr. Stone is of course getting back to modern society, right? But then after Tsukasa is defeated, who is more for the primitive thing, besides of course that I think it's kind of a cop-out that Tsukasa's ideology was not because being primitive or not, staying primitive was not based on some belief, but more to protect his sister. So it wasn't really even a challenge to Senku's ideology. It was just fake, basically. This whole idea of being primitive against science against primitivity, anarchy, primitivism. It was never real. Science was the only answer all along.
You were bamboozled from the start, basically.
Yeah. While there is of course, an argument to say that no, people have messed up the Earth real bad.
Yeah, they kind of have.
So why is Senku so desperate to immediately recreate the polluting, the inequalities, the whole systems of the past? That sounds silly, but Senku never gets any pushback from that. And at some point, that got kind of boring to me, or the lack of, real pushback on that.
Well, that's fair enough. I'm just keeping up with it for the sake of keeping up with it. I mean, it's good enough, so I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other.
Did you read the manga, or is you're still?
No, I'm an anime only pleb comes to it.
All right.
So.
I mean, I'm interested. I'm vaguely interested in how it ends, but I'm not keeping up anymore.
Mm. Well, in other shows, one of the ones that I got clued into by someone on Twitter that probably going to pick up is Undead Unluck. I don't know if you've heard about Undead Unluck.
I've seen some Twitter thread about how the same guy who did the fire effects in Fire Force does fire in Unlucky Undead or
Oh, that's
Undead
that's
Unluck.
well, it is David Production, so pretty sure it's the same studio. I don't recall who did Fire Force, but it's also, I believe, the same author as My Hero Academia as well. I think it's the same. It's either the same artist or the same author, or both basically. But someone on Twitter was talking to me about it, and they were saying that it was pretty good. So I figured I'd put it on my list of things to check out. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's something about, like, you've got these two characters that kind of complement each other, and they kind of complete one another's powers in a sense, and it creates like a superpower or something like that. So yeah, that sounds good. Arknights is getting its second season, and if you know anything about Arknights, you know that fucking depression's about to happen.
I don't, so I'm going to stay happy.
The entire arc around Frost Nova is extremely fucking depressing. So that's going to be fun.
Me, ignorant and happy, you depressed.
Yeah,
and...
you're that meme of what is it? The guy, yeah, the meme of the guy that's like, it's like
Clueless.
Yeah, Clueless. Yeah, sitting down to watch Arknights anime. Clueless. The Arknights anime is actually really good. It's a lot better than the GFL anime that we don't talk about, because yeah, it's a very good adaptation. I believe it's actually it's in house. It's Yostar. Yostar, the game publisher, is making the anime as well. So it's in-house animation studio is doing it, which is interesting. And the first season was really good, and I think it portrayed. I mean, the problem with the Arknight story is that it starts really slow and it progressively gets better as they do more events and they kind of get into it. I've actually finished the recent chapter of the in-game story that came out, which is it's currently it's like about the Sarkaz and London analog and a bunch of stuff about like royalty and Steam Knights and stuff, and it's actually really, really fascinating, quite interesting. So yeah, Arknights is really good. I'd recommend that. So that's a good one.
Now a recommendation from me: 16-bit Sensation.
Yes, I did hear about that on Twitter.
So I've seen half chapters, half posted on some Discord server.
Mr. Incredible meme, yeah.
Yeah, me and Nretsew. So 16-bit Sensation, the manga, is about really the history of eroge from early visual novels. From 1990 or 1990, 85 onwards, and every chapter or so is a year. So it goes through the years of all the development and big games and big developments, and what systems were used, what programs were used, what computers, what were the platforms were you developing for the 85-001 computer, and when did they switch to Microsoft computers and all that stuff. That's interesting. From what I read of it, the anime is not about that, kinda. The anime is about a illustrator, a sub illustrator, somebody who assists the main illustrator, and she works at a company that only produces 1 hour visual novels, housewife hypnosis visual novels.
Right.
With trashy art, bad art, and lazy writing, and phoned in voice acting, and she wants to make the games like Sengoku Ranch, Kanonko,
Right.
the classics, the big ones,
The good shit, yeah.
the good shit. Unfortunately, that isn't getting made anymore. So, luckily for her, she gets sent back in time.
Somehow, yeah. Okay.
Bam, boom, she's sent back in time, and now she's there for the birth of basically the entire genre of eroge, making stuff on the computers of the olden times. And I'm interested because the history of eroge is, I don't know much, but I do want to know that it's far more interesting than just, oh, some guys made a porn game.
Yeah. I think there's some stuff there. I also would have to do some more research into it, but
But also because, a lot of women were big pioneers of that. So I'm always happy. I'm always good to see corrections on the history of what people thought was happened.
Because it's a subject. It's I mean we've talked about before that even us, right, like knowledge about the history of the stuff that we enjoy is very low in a lot of discussions, and I think it leads to a lot of these. It leads to a lot of these misconceptions and bad stereotypes that we see perpetuated a lot.
Basically, in short, everything you like in anime, everything you like in manga, everything you like in your porn games was made by women. Never forget.
Probably. So, other than that, I don't think there's. I mean, I know Spy X Family season 2 is coming out. I'm not really. I didn't watch the first season of that, so I'm not.
I watched the first season. I didn't watch the second season because there's reasons. First season,
well,
therefore,
second season's happening now, so it's not.
Oh, it's the second season. Maybe the second core season. Or something. I don't know. I forgot.
Maybe I don't know, but I didn't watch it, so I'm not that particularly interested. I think there's like a few other things that might be interesting. But,
I spotted some isekais that I might watch. It's already a better season than last season. I mean, Mushoku Tensei is good.
Yeah, last season was literally for me the Mushoku Tensei season. There was nothing else that I watched.
This season I have at least two things: Freeren and 16-bit Sensation, and maybe another one.
So, one anime that I just found on the thing, I think it's called Demi Kuboko Mojo no Okayu it was on the Twatters because so the basic idea is so you have this witch, right? And the witch is like a short pseudo lolly, right? And she takes this baby, right? And then 16 years later, the baby grows to be this like giant, like chocolate woman, right? Skin color wise.
Yeah.
And so you have this 16-year-old that looks like an adult, and you have this adult that looks like a child. And Twitter didn't take that very well. That was very because like the roles are reversed or something like that. So it's some interesting stuff going. I'll put the link in the chat. Or not the YouTube chat, but our Discord chat. So
I have to
you can have a look. You can have a look.
I have
because I believe
chart open. Let me just.
This
16-bit Sensation, another layer. La 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 Beyblades. This is the guy. This is the show where the girl says, "Wanna fuck?" First episode.
Would you like some fuck?
I'm sure I missed it already. Shut-in, Goofy, transformed into a pig. Terramon, I shall survive using potions. Oh, yeah, people are going to hate it. I missed it already again.
Yeah, there's a few good shows coming out this season. So.
Chocobo.
But anywho, I don't know if there's anything else we want to talk about before we close it out for the day. I don't got any.
Why don't I see it here?
Ellie's busy hunting for links. He's hunting for all the things. He's gonna do some stuff.
I have Japanese titles on. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
native.
yeah. Oh, I could talk about CyberPunk, I guess.
Oh, yeah, talk
Cyberpunk. I haven't got the DLC, but I've been playing. I played a little bit of the update. It's good. It's good stuff. They really changed the game in that update. Like they rebalanced a lot of things and changed a lot of the mechanics. It feels like playing a completely different game almost. Especially if you were doing net running and hacking stuff. Like they completely changed how that works, and now you have to worry about getting tracked and pinpointed and stuff. It's a lot more balanced. So it's a little less fun because you can't because I used to like how you could you can still do it, but you have to do a specific build for it now. But you used to be able to spread quick hacks all over the fucking place, and you could do one quick hack and it would spread like a virus to other people. You could do mass takedowns and stuff with it, and it was quite fun. But I don't know. It's good stuff. It feels a lot better as a game. They've really turned it around. I'm gonna probably pick up the DLC at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it because I'm a cheapskate.
So I know I bought the DLC at some point. I forgot exactly when, but I have it anyway. I haven't played it since I tried and it didn't work.
Oh yeah, because your save got fucked because the updates fucked your save.
Yeah, because
luckily enough, the 2.0 update didn't fuck my save. Funnily enough, if you had a save before 2.0, it basically just gives you a quest to go to a Ripper dock, and then it you can redo all of your shit basically.
I have to restart because my save was very didn't like jumping from 1.0 to 1.7.
1.5 or something. Yeah. I would recommend doing it now that 2.0's out because, like I said, it's like a completely different game now. It's like they changed a lot of the systems, like the cyberware system. You now have a limit on how much cyberware you can have before you start having negative effects, like cyber psycho type stuff.
And I heard you can have more. You can just generally have more stuff.
Yeah, you can. There's a lot less. It's not like you have a lot less in terms of you don't have all the different rarities of stuff, right? Instead, it's more okay, this is the Pacific one for this type of build, right? So if you can have mantis blades that are attuned to a different attribute, but they're all lead gold quality mantis blades until you upgrade them, I guess, because you could. There's a lot more emphasis on upgrading things rather than looting things, if that makes sense, right? So you're not going to go out and loot a gold tier cyberware. You might find a gold tier cyberware in the world, but it's not a generic, if that makes sense. It's this is the hyper Pacific one, and then you upgrade. You stick with that one, and then you upgrade it basically, instead of having to find generic stuff.
A purple eye instead.
The purple eye, yeah. It's you don't have all these different eyes. Now you have maybe 5 or 6 different eyes, and they all are catered to. One is better at seeing people through walls, and one is better at detecting people, and one is better at and it's you have to kind of build around things more now. It's very, very, very interesting how they've rebalanced the whole system, and they've added a few new things too, and some new things that have different effects that can cater to different builds. And then of course the skill tree's been completely redone from the ground up. It's now a lot more perk based, and you still have perks that are just kind of more stat boost, but a lot of them are more just kind of it adds something to an ability. So you'll have one big node, which is the ability, and then you have a few smaller nodes around it that are oh, now that ability can do this thing that's different, and now it has you can do this, and it has a 15% chance of doing this, and like, so they've changed a lot of the skills to be a little bit more. It's a lot more ability focused now, which is good. Armor is now directly tied to your cyberware, so clothing. It's actually kind of weird because clothing is like irrelevant now, which is kind of like I think it's better because I basically did like you can go to the wardrobe and you can choose how you look, and then I just kind of put on whatever had the highest stats, right? So I didn't really care a whole lot about the armor, but now it's like
I did care, but I was always so torn between it's higher defense, but it looks so bad if I wear that.
Well, that's why you could just like go to the wardrobe and do an outfit and do glamour, and you could just make as long as you had the armor piece in your inventory or your stash, you could just use that as.
I
glamour,
believe I didn't
right?
get to that. Maybe because I did my save
or maybe
was too
you
bugged.
just didn't. Maybe you just didn't notice it, but like
save was too
something...
bugged to try, and it wasn't there when I played
But that's
it.
something you could do, right? You could just glam. But here's the thing: you can still do that, but then they also made armor useless almost. Like there are some armors that have like armor stat that give you like extra armor, but they're not like. It's like bulletproof vests and stuff have like a minor increase to your armor. Like like if you want high armor, you have to equip the cyberware that gives you the high armor now. Like you specifically have to do that because clothing doesn't really protect you anymore, right? Which is weird because it kind of makes this whole the whole system. It kind of makes the whole clothing system like useless, and they might as well just remove it outside of glamour because there's no point now to equipping anything that's not like because you're going to glamour it anyway. So what's the point in equipping something else in the same slot unless it has like a special, unless it's like an iconic or something that has like a special thing? I haven't encountered a lot of that, and a lot of the armors that I have don't seem to have any effects on them. So. I'm not sure what they were thinking with that. I get the reasoning. I think it's fine to put armor into cyberware instead of on,
I
put it on
kind of
cyberware
prefer that instead.
Yeah.
Except when your clothing is armor, I think it's more fair to have cyberware be your armor because
I think it's fair too. It's just it makes the system kind of weird now because it's like you have, stuff that you equip as like armor, right? Like you equip the item, but then you have like the glamour on top of that. But because 99% of armors don't actually give you armor, they're just cosmetic anyway. You get what I mean? It's like, why would you equip something? Like why would you if you're just gonna glamour it anyway? Also, Joshua is asking, can you get in the Discord? We hang out over in the Lewd Gamer Discord. The Discord chat we're talking about, we have our own little chat that we chat stuff out.
Special privileges.
Yeah, we don't have like a
maybe we should
fan Discord.
Maybe we should show not critical critiques.
The critical bliss, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, the critical bliss Discord's not public yet, so.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was. Never mind.
No, Logic's waiting for his. And we're not directly affiliated with Lewd Gamer either, but we just I
did think about making a Discord for this critical critique channel at some point, but
See, I'm somewhat against it because have you fucking seen how many YouTuber Discords end up being absolute fucking shit shows and like people are gonna take stuff out of context and there's gonna be leaks.
I've seen that the best way to handle that is to give somebody else admin.
Yeah, it has to be like a fan Discord that we have absolutely no fucking like connection to.
Well,
so if it turns out it was actually a grooming Discord, we have plausible deniability to say that's got nothing to fucking do with us.
Nah, we give some fan, we give Okami admin or something, and then
give Okami admin, yeah.
And then we'll just have a couple of channels and a hidden channel or something
we'll just hang out now. Well, maybe if we ever get bigger, we will consider that.
Yeah,
kind of thing. But I don't think it's worth doing right now when it's only like a few of us. But to end the Cyberpunk talk, I guess. I would highly recommend the game. I actually think it's really good. The storytelling is fantastic. The dialogue is really, really good. The writing, when it gets to breathe, is quite good. It's a very good game now, and since they fixed a lot of the issues with it, at least the supposed issues, right? It's definitely worth picking up and playing now. Even without the DLC, it's really good. So yeah.
And I always thought it was good, and I always was a weird defender of the version 1.0 because, especially now, it was the only version that worked for me.
Well, it'll be interesting to have you go back to it and play 2.0.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But yeah, I'm not planning to play Cyberpunk at the moment because I'm kind of busy with translating my game. Not my game.
Yeah, just gonna drop that at the end of the stream. Just be like, "Oh, I'm translating a game. Bye."
Now people can find. I mean, I use the same profile picture everywhere basically. So you can
yeah.
So if you see this profile picture, you can tell it's me.
Truly a group chat got leaked moment. Yeah. Have you ever seen that meme where it's like the group chat got leaked and it's a bunch of people getting arrested and it's like the racist, the Fed, the terrorist, the groomer.
I haven't seen that.
It's a good meme. I'd have to go find it. It's funny. The group chat gets leaked and it's just a bunch of people that are all like, the worst things you could think of. It's great.
Nah, I mean, I'm busy translating Princess Sacrifice, and after that's done, then I can do AI generating things again because the Python version for the translating is an older version, and that doesn't work with the AI generating versions.
Yeah, and you've been having fun with your AI stuff.
Well, I had fun until I realized that I couldn't do translating and AI stuff at the same time. So now I'm prioritizing translating it over AI stuff, and I haven't kept up with that either.
What's the name of that witch manga? Oh, you mean the manga, the anime I was talking about? Hang on, I'll just put the link in the chat. Give me a sec. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Once it decides to send it. There you go. Yeah. I've been enjoying a lot of the AI. Like, I don't know if you've seen a lot of the new racist AI memes that have been cropping up on Twitter. They're really fucking.
Nah.
Like, someone did. I think it was Short Fat Otaku. He did like Pixar's Nazi Germany. It's fucking great because it's like it's funny because it's so fucking horrible. So fucking bad, but it's so funny because you have like the Pixar style 3D, right?
Yes.
Where it's like like the style of 3D animation.
Well, I believe I saw Evangelion hospital scenes in that.
Yes,
style.
that's what I'm talking about. It's that, but it's stuff like January 6th or fucking the Charlottesville stuff. But it's that. I just find those fucking funny because it's like you have this happy Pixar looking thing, and then it's like Auschwitz. So it's fucking like, god damn it. And then you've got the ones which are like, as you said, there's the Evangelion one going around, which is quite funny too. Yeah.
Nah,
I've been enjoying those. They've been funny.
I kind of, if I'm thoughts on AI, I think it's kind of overblown. It kind of feels like a crypto or white 3D monitor hype again.
I don't know how much it's going to really affect things, and I do think people kind of over exaggerate it. Although I will say it has come a long way since, like, even in the last year, it has definitely improved quite a lot. So, who knows? But yeah, it's one of those things where people get mad about it, somewhat justifiably, somewhat not justifiably.
Yeah, in that sense,
it's one of those It's one of those really polarized things where you have people that are just extremely fucking anti it.
I mean, in a sense, radical opinion incoming. Copyright should be limited to like 20 years after it's
I don't
made.
think that's a. I don't think that's a radical opinion.
Well, it's radical in the sense that it's now
that's what copyright used to fucking be.
radical in the sense that it's 100 years less than it's now.
Well, that's because see, this was the this is what got me blocked by Little V on Twitter. That music artist guy. Yeah, Jake is like, is that a hot take? Yeah,
It is. It is nowadays.
No, because yeah, Little V blocked me because he was like celebrating music labels copyright striking people doing AI stuff with artists' voices and stuff, and it's like, do you really want American music labels to be the ones to go to court to redefine what the new copyright laws are going to be around fair use of AI stuff? Is that really what you want? You want those guys? It's like Disney, right? Like Disney is the one that keeps pushing copyright law because they just don't want to fucking let go of the licenses they have, right? So it's like, do you really want to give control over free expression and free use in terms of both AI and probably non-AI over to these fucking mega corporations?
They already have
music
major
labels.
rules. And yeah, I say 20 years because making a game is 5 years or so, and then you want to make a sequel, and then it's done.
Well, you could say like 20 years from both when it came out and when the last thing.
Nah, that's going to exploit it to hell. Then you make just one drawing. I
don't know. I'm not an expert on it, so I would have to think about it more and formulate a proper opinion on it. But I overall agree with you that it should be changed. I think there is definitely
so make Zelda public domain, Mario public domain, Frozen public domain. Whatever.
See, that's probably a little bit more radical, but it's like, I can agree. I can kind of.
I mean,
anyway,
it's been 20 years since it's over 20 years since Link was followed up. So public domain for him.
All right. Well, anyway, I reckon we're pretty much done. I don't think else to it.
Well, we could go on, but
we could, but we're almost 3 hours in, and I want to get some. Getting tired. I don't want to blow my voice out. We're gonna try and stream more often anyway, so we might be coming back sooner than you think.
That's it. That's an idea, Jake. 3 years before it's actively active.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I tried to announce this one on Twitter because I wanted to get.
Well, it had some like 7 people.
Yeah, we had 7 people. We're moving up in the world. We're gonna become big league soon. It's gonna be great.
50 views on this live stream so far. That's in line.
Holy shit! Yeah. So yeah, no. I'm gonna try and post on Twitter when we go live. We don't have like we have like times that we've allocated where we're gonna do something. Then we kind of just do it. We don't have like a set routine schedule. So
Nretsew,
just kind of watch the space.
Kind of insider talk in the public. My schedule will be more regular in the future.
Yeah, and I don't have anything going on right now.
So there will be a time that we could do weekly at the same time in the future at some point.
Yeah, it would be good to go back to doing weekly stuff because we used to do weekly stuff before life.
Until I had a job that wasn't weekly.
Until you had a job, I think Lolly's still got IRL stuff going on, so he's probably not going to be around for a good while. He might make a comeback at some point, but and we might be able to wrestle some friends to come on at some point. Have
when
some
it's
fun
weekly
times.
and as regular.
Yeah. We might be able to get some more co-hosts on at some point. We might be able to drag a few people in. So yeah. Exist on Twitter when art is posted. Yeah, I'm gonna try and be a bit better on the advertising. We could also maybe do. I don't know if we have access to the ability to do like the whole pre-stream, like the whole schedule stream.
I haven't tried. So I might just
where you have like, because I know that VTubers do that, where they have like they'll like line up like a week's worth of streams, and then they'll have like the pre-chats for all of the streams.
Yeah, I can make a post. Is that a new thing?
I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
there's new
I'll
shit
make
getting
a.
added all the
Well,
time.
this is the first time I see a post.
I think
First,
we could do like a scheduled. You could set in like a scheduled stream for like a set day. We're not going to do anything yet though because it all kind of depends on how we're feeling at the time. So
hey
it'll,
everybody, go comment on
if
my
it
post. I can do community posts now.
ah nice. Well, if we do that, we'll probably put up like a pre-stream thing, like maybe like a few hours before, like maybe like a day before or something, and then that'll let you know that we're going to do a stream.
Yeah, I just made a community post to celebrate that I can do community
You
posts.
can make community posts. Yeah. All right. Good. Sounds good.
We're moving up.
We're moving up in the world. So I guess we'll see you guys all next time.
Yeah. Search
Bye.
stop stream button. Yeah.